Right, greetings and welcome back once again. Let me make sure that I can be heard before I get started. Welcome to the conversation for those who may be new and who have just joined us. My name is Imuna. Welcome to the welcome to the channel. And if this is not your first time, you already know what I'm gonna say. You don't know already. Welcome back. Um, Let me just double check, make sure I could be heard. 1 2 1 2. Yep. Okay, so essentially, I came across. There's so much I want to talk about, but there's just so little time. I want to discuss and kind of glean what we can. And since we've been on a certain topic, I'm not going to return necessarily to the KS topic, but there was a guy who did the news report that we went over a couple of days ago. He said he was his friend, Dennis. What's his name? I don't even want to misquote his name. His name is Dennis. Uh, I'm outside, so let me. It's Sperling, okay? And so he had a video out before the passing of Kevin Samuels, which was this video was April the 30th, like 2 weeks ago. And the title of the video, hold on, there's a plane flying overhead. The plane. The title of the video is Gen X Women, You Had Your Chance in the 90s, right? And I just watched a little bit of it and I was like, this is interesting. Let's take a look because, as many are saying, the thought process or the ideology is not going away. It's not going away. It's still here. It's going to take different forms. It's like the New Testament or biblical verses or certain type of religions where they come from one root and then they split off and then they some people take away, some people add, but the core of it is the same. This is kind of what we're experiencing. So let's hear a little bit. He was all polished up when he was, even though he was double speaking on that Fox show. uh Here he's raw and unfiltered. So let's take a little listen to some of what he has to say, because this is interesting. Okay, I found it interesting. So let me go ahead and share my screen. Welcome to those who've just joined us. Share, like, and subscribe and do all that lovely, great stuff. I know this is a weird time in the day, but it's when I was doing some stuff earlier, so it is what it is. Let me share the screen. Hold on. Let me see which one I'm trying to get here. Here it is. Okay. So this is oh, this is interesting. I heard a little bit, so we're gonna be listening together, shall we? Wait, let me skip this part. And this is for review purposes, so I have to stop along the way, and hopefully he has his channel open for a discussion. So he's a lawyer, by the way, by profession. But remember, I noticed that he had a bit of a double speak. So he doesn't even he's making his proposition right now. He's addressing the audience right now. So you have to put your mind also in lawyer mode, okay? And he is saying he's making, I'm not going to do X, Y, and Z. And then he makes a blanket statement that women his age of Generation X were all fighting it out before thoughtdom was even thought of, right? So this is a sweeping generalization. So like 2 seconds into his argument, he's establishing a logical fallacy. But let's continue. Again, again, where did you live, sir? Did you see all of the women of Generation X? Nobody was in church. Nobody was a good girl. Nobody was didn't get married and was off the market for 20, 25 years, and something happened, the person passed away, they divorced. None of these other factors are considered in his presentation so far. It's all, I'm indicting you, I'm charging you with this. If you are Generation X, you had your chance in the 90s. This is how people get swept away really quickly. That's what I'm asking. What wait a minute, let me make sure that you guys, oh no, you're not seeing it. Nah, let me take this off here. Here it is. Now you can see. Let me know if you can see and if everything is good and if you can hear and that is not breaking up. So let's go back to this conversation here. For those who've just joined us, we're going over how doctrines are spun, how people employ the logical fallacies. And I went over these logical fallacies before, and because they do it all the time. And he's a professional at it because he's a lawyer. Okay, and this is the friend of KS who spoke about how great and lovely he was. Let me know anytime it's acting up. Yes, the Wi-Fi is working. Although I'm outside because I like fresh air. But let's continue. So I'm a back it up a little bit. No, really, he just opened up, and my point was he opened up on a logical fallacy straight out the gate. So let's continue. Old woman with baggage, an old woman. I find this also very interesting. If the one argument is she's running around saying, I'm a PhD, I have a degree, and she's doing the same thing that you were doing, we're to assume that during this whole time you were neither married or had children and you weren't thotting it up. That's also an assumption that we have to make based on the way you're positioning. You were the ones who were there. Because so if you saw her, what were you doing? You know what I'm saying? It's like somebody say, "Yeah, I saw that person round about." Well, where were you in this whole transaction? But they're going to absolve themselves oftentimes, especially when somebody's coming from the accusatory angle. But let's continue. So she serves no purpose. Again, I said it the other day that there's a level of lack of valuing of people beyond material possessions. Now, there's a biblical verse that says this, which oftentimes you can hear where someone is coming from right off the bat. What found it? You can't hear? I cannot hear it. Can you? Okay, hold on. Let me release the screen. You didn't hear any of that? Y'all let me know if y'all don't hear any of that because I'm over here going in. Let me release the screen over here and then let me reshare the screen again. Let me release the screen and then let me rescript. But let me start off with this. He's talking about a lot of things that sound like ooh, but what we shall see. But Proverbs 5, because we want to get some wisdom in the situation. And 18 says, let the wait. Let me go back. Drink waters out of your own cistern and running waters out of your own well. You know, symbolism. Let your fountain be dispersed abroad and rivers of water in the street. Let them be only yours, not strangers with you. Let the fountain be blessed and rejoice with the wife of your youth. Right? That's the part. Let her be as the loving hind and pleasant roe. Let her breast satisfy thee at all times, and be thou ravished always with her love. So Solomon, and then he goes on in 20, and why will you, my son, be ravished with a strange woman and embrace the bosom of a stranger? Solomon would know, okay, because he picked up many strange women. There's something that about the wife of your youth, about when people build together from a certain age, that creates a bond, providing that the people are not toxic, of course. But there's something that creates this bond. If you go later on in life, you may be bonded with people, but it may not be to the degree if you guys came together at the time of your youth, right? So I wanted to just put that out there as we're listening to this. Now, for those who said they didn't hear it, I'm going to rewind it back. Let me go ahead. Greetings and welcome. Everything is good? The video is playing low. All right. I'm going to rewind it back, and we're going to listen to some of the things he's saying. Now, this is the Lord KS's friend, the lawyer guy, who is making a case as to why Generation X women are basically trash and don't need saving. You know what I mean? I'm paraphrasing. So I'm going to give him a chance to say, and then I'm going to stop along the way. This is a review. What do they call it? A review video. What do they call it? I forget what they call it. Y'all know what I'm talking about. So let me share here. Welcome to those who just joined us. Let me share with the audio. And let's try again. Let's listen to his opening arguments again. Remember, he's a lawyer, and lawyers oftentimes, even though if their client is guilty, they are going to have to establish a case to try to sway you to their direction. So it doesn't mean it's absolutely true. It just means that they were able to convince you that it's true. So let me know if you can hear the video. His name is Dennis Sperling. Okay. Come on, thing. All right, here we go.
Guys, what I'm not and as a member of Generation X, what I'm not going to do is sit around and worry about a bunch of women my age who had their chance in the 1990s. I know what you were doing in the 1990s. Spots before the word thought was invented.
Okay, like I said before, for those who may just join us, he's presenting his case. He's establishing it, in my estimation, on a logical fallacy. He's telling them that the women of Generation X had their chance. But if later on he says that the men is just coming into their power in the 40s and 50s, what did they have their chance to do? Secondly, he's assuming that all Generation X women his age are or were thoughts. That's a gross assumption. That's a hasty generalization right there. That makes this a logical fallacy. So from the gate, what he's about to say is questionable. So, but let's continue.
He's out there throwing that thing around and everybody that you could having a great time, getting in the parties free. And now at 40 and 50 years old.
Are y'all saying y'all still can't hear? Are y'all still can't hear? Y'all stressing me today. Can you not hear? Cause let me pull it over to the other side then. Yeah, Nasha's saying she still can't hear. So let me put it on this side and see if you can hear. You know, you have two different. This StreamYard doesn't allow me to stream from my original thing, so I have to stream from two different. What do you call the thing? Two different. I have to stream from Chrome and my other operating thing. So let me go back, which is annoying, but let me see. Let me go back and try this one. We're going to try again. All right. Tell me if you can hear now before I start all over again.
Generation X, what I'm not going to do is sit around and worry about a bunch of women my age who had their chance in the 1990s. I know what you were doing in the 1990s, ladies. You were thoughts before the word thought was invented. You was out there throwing that thing around to everybody that you could have.
Okay, can it be heard? It's good now? All right, I had to put it on I had to put it on Chrome. So let's continue.
Having a great time, getting in the parties free. And now at 40 and 50 years old, you think somebody like me who saw you do what you did is supposed to pick you up? What in the hell are you thinking about? That
Again, like I said, it's a gross indictment. There's women during that time that got married. 20 years ago. They was married for 20 years. Maybe they recently divorced. Maybe they lost their partner. Something could have happened. Not every Generation X woman in today's time was starting it up at Freaknik, which is what he's going to bring up, which is what we're going to take a look at. There was a certain segment, but it doesn't make sense. If they were doing the going to college, getting the education, I have a PhD, I don't need a man, right? Just keep that in mind because that argument is also being said, but I don't want to go ahead of myself. So let's continue.
That's my thing. And here's another thing. If I've spent my entire life building myself up to get to the point where I am now in my 40s and going into my 50s, and I'm beginning to garner power and influence, why would I pick up some old woman to bring along with me? An old woman with baggage, an old woman with issues. These are my primary earning years. This is a time where I have an opportunity.
Why are you just picking up a woman now, sir? Why didn't you have one before? Are you going to blame them too? Where's the wife of your youth? Where's the now? Because now you're going to pick up a young one who didn't know what you put into it, and there's a possibility if anything happened, that person would not be there to support you in the way you think they would, because they're coming along for very different reasons. But let's continue.
Opportunity to flex. This is a time for me to take up leadership in the community and politics and companies and corporations.
Did you hear that? He sounds like he's coming from an egotistical point. This is his time to flex, right? This is his. So tell me something. Do the people want you authentically, or the woman wants you authentically for who you are or what you have? Because here it's sounding like now that I have what I think they want, now it's my time to flex. It doesn't sound like it's coming from a I desire a righteous woman point of view, but I could be wrong.
In your 40s and 50s, that's when men begin to maximize their power. They begin to reap the benefit of the seeds that they're planted in their 20s and 30s. It's the money and the power and the influence that comes with age. It makes all those years of sacrifice worth it. By contrast, the average 40, 50-year-old woman serves no purpose other than as a business partner, maybe.
No purpose. This is a lawyer who's bought into social hierarchy, who thinks that people, and I hear this a lot in some communities, the older you get, you serve no purpose. This is why we're living in a society who disposes of old people and elderly. They put them and lock them away when that's actually your wisdom. Like, if you valued older people, then you would actually learn from their mistakes. So for you to think that a 40 or 50-year-old woman has no value to you outside of being a business partner, that goes to show you that you're setting yourself up for the okie doke. It's in my estimation, right? I'm not saying that you're supposed to pick up in his words, a past thought, but to assume that everyone in that age demographic is a past thought, that shows you how narrow-minded you are, even as a lawyer who's supposed to, do lawyer stuff.
If she's the same age as the man. But the idea that a 40 or 50-year-old man with money and power and years of sacrifice and delayed gratification, who is single, would then take up some 40 or 50-year-old woman for romantic purposes? Come on, y'all. Are you kidding? Are you kidding me? That makes absolutely no sense. What I'm here to tell you, ladies of my generation, I'm here to tell you this today. Your chances of bagging a man who is making $1 million, $100,000, $250,000 or more, mid six figures, whatever, it's not happening. It's little to none.
And it's interesting. This is April the 30th. Something happens to his friend just a few days later with a mentality that a younger woman can do me better. What can I want from you, older woman? You have nothing for me. You have no value. And there's some information out there that in order to keep up with said younger woman, that older man who thinks that he is, the stallion, I don't know what's going on, he has to do other things to compensate so that he can keep up with her. And those other things oftentimes can adversely affect him. But what do we know? Let's continue.
See, what I'm trying to explain is it's a different set of circumstances if she was with him and helped him build herself up. Because of the loyalty that she showed, She's owed something. Even the law sees that. You are a 40 or 50-year-old man. You've been married to your woman since she was in your 20s or 30s. Now you're rich. You built yourself up. Even the law says she's supposed to have some of that. All right, but a 40 or 50-year-old woman, a 50-year-old man has options, and the last thing he's going to choose is some 40 or 50-year-old woman to be his spouse or his mate. And here's another thing: even in a polygamous relationship, that I don't agree with them, but even then, why?
Sorry, the young ones ran up on me. So he's going in again. Not all friends have the same ideology, but there has to be some level of similarity in order for them to be friends, right? And so he has some, but he's going to divert in other places. And he's saying that he doesn't think so. This is not something that he would want. Again, yes, Viagra and Red Bull is no bueno. Or, you know what I mean? This is an assumption that many people are making. And so they think that money, he's asserting that money and status is going to still take away the fact that you're old too, sir. If she's old, you're old. How could you say, "Well, do you think I want some old woman," and not acknowledge that you too are also getting older? That would have been your sister. That would have been your cousin. You guys are born around the same time. If she old, wouldn't that make you old too? But what do we know? Let's continue.
Why would I pick some old women to be in a relationship with? And here's another thing: I don't feel sorry for these women. I don't feel sorry for these 40 or 50-year-old aunties because I know what they were doing in the 90s. I was right there. I saw them.
Oh, so you was right there. So what was you doing? If you were at Freaknik, if you was on at Memorial Day in Miami, if you was popping bottles, wouldn't you have been indulging in the same way? I mean, you were right there. You said you were right there. What was you doing? Just looking on, wishing and hoping that you can join in the reindeer games? Like this is giving I'm mad vibes. I'm indifferent and now it's payback time. As we know that life is not guaranteed and this type of energy, if like I said yesterday, if you're harnessing this energy within you, right? And it's something you think about and it's in your heart, you're doing yourself more harm than the other person. But let's continue.
They were going to Freaknik. They was having a good time. Huh? This is what they did. The young men that tried to talk to them, right? They were too good. They were too busy. They pushed them away. What they did was they gave their passion and their interest to other men, the men that they chose to be with. Nobody pushed them on it. They made that decision at that time period. And this is their reward. This is what they're supposed to get. Now, instead of getting long-lasting relationships where they can see their children grow up and go to college, where they can see their
Again, Mr. Lawyer Man, who can counsel? Can we get an objection? I think I missed the boat when I was supposed to go the lawyer route. But counsel, can we get an objection? Who is telling you that the women who are 40 and 50 did not see their children graduate, were not in long-standing relationships, didn't do not have grandchildren in this same time? Who's telling you that? What percentage of women didn't experience what you're claiming they didn't experience? But he's not even giving fake statistics. I don't know if I'm glad or upset that we're not giving any reference point to where you're getting all of this information from.
Grandchildren be born, great grandchildren. All they have is old, fading, thought-like memories. That's it. That's all they have.
Yo,
And
did
unless
he
you
say
ladies
old fading thought like memories? I am done. I'm done.
have $1.5 million saved up for retirement, what you're looking at is poverty. What you're looking at is homelessness. That's what you have to
Sir,
look forward to.
you know what I saw this morning on the Weather Channel? $1 million mansions burning to the ground. When we think that we have it all figured out sometimes, I'm not saying don't prepare in life, but life has an interesting way on humbling the prideful. $1 million mansions burning to the ground. So there's things that people can have in place, right? And still not get to what he's talking about, this security. And there are other people who have done good in their life. And even though it may not look like they have things all figured out, the creator will provide for them. They will make it through. So there's an assumption that there's safety solely in the money that you have. And the reality is that's not always true, especially when you're not building good relationships with the people in and around you. If you're tearing down and not sowing into people, People, not just your bank account, but people, and sowing peace and love and healing into the lives of people in around you. There is a loneliness that comes at the end of life, that you may have your money, but you have nothing else. But again, it's all about value systems, right?
Matter of fact, a lot of these brothers tease you and say you're gonna get cat lady, you're gonna be cat ladies. You're not gonna be able to afford cats because you're not gonna be able to afford a
But
house
why is he
or an.
wishing? This is like, why are you cursing and wishing all of this on people? Another assumption: if they went to school and they have careers, why and how did they become cat ladies? What demographic is this? According to you, on one side, this is the I don't need a man generation, and they already invested in their 401ks. They already invested in their retirement. They already did all the things that you're saying that they did instead in lieu of getting married. So now, how come they're cat ladies? How did they get here? Again, lawyer man Dennis Sperling, this is some interesting arguments you're presenting. Respectfully, it's not adding up.
Apartment. All that's gonna happen to you is you're gonna be either eating that cat food or those cats. Now, earlier I spoke about polygamy. To me, when I look at that, that's the golden parachute for these lovely elderly women. And I'm not willing to risk my financial well-being to save some old woman who made poor decisions. So that the answer for me is going to be no. And I think I speak on behalf of many very successful Black men of Generation X. We are not going to save you. You are going to go off and live whatever the circumstances of your life dictate. The idea that I would even enter into a polygamous relationship with multiple women, especially elderly women, is a ridiculous notion. Women by design are supposed to be a distraction from your job. They are there to do what? They are there to be your own private vacation. And
Don't tell me I'm on mute. You know how long I was talking? What? When did I put the thing on mute? I just got over here because I'm reading the other side. I see Amuna, you are on mute. Ah, ha ha ha. My apology. I'm on mute. No, John, not struggle streaming. Looking at the other screen, therefore I can't see you guys when I'm on the other screen. So can you hear me now? Let me know if you can hear me now. When I'm on one screen, especially when I'm sharing my screen, so let me stop sharing. When I'm sharing my screen, I can't see until I come back over to the other side. Okay? So that's what was happening. So let me go back and read some of these comments then for you guys since you did not hear them. We have as a 51-year-old divorced medical professional. Wait a minute. Now I don't even know. I don't even know what part you guys heard versus what part you didn't hear. So can somebody? I'm gonna share the link. Let me know what part you didn't hear, and then we'll start from there. Cause let me know when last you heard. So let me recap here. So what the good lawyer is telling the women of his generation is that because you had your chance 20 years ago and you didn't want to get with him before he was able to build up his power and wealth, he doesn't want you now because you're old and geriatric, and now he wants the younger woman. That's going to he's finally going to get what he wanted, and you're not it, and you're going to die alone, eating cat food, and possibly being homeless when I switch screens. Okay. So yeah, that's what basically he was saying. And then I was reading some of the comments in the comment section where you had men also saying they had similar experiences and the women didn't want them and they wanted the athletes, and they're going to go to Latin America and retire. And my question was, how is it that so many people are willing to sow in other people's yards? Basically, they only see themselves as individuals and not part of a collective. So these women who you say are old and geriatric are your sisters, are your relatives, are your cousins, are part of your community. But because you don't see yourself as a part of a community, they're disposable. And the thought is that you can go into another community and build that up. When the reality is, what we've seen historically is that whatever you put there ultimately gets absorbed by that culture, her culture, the culture of the woman. This is why you have admonition within the biblical text to be careful. It says, do not give your daughters to their sons or take your sons to their daughters. Why? Because they're going to absorb you into their culture. And then you will be no more. We see in the case of who was it? Kobe Bryant, to my understanding, there was a level of him not talking to his parents for a while because they had questions with whom he chose to marry. Yeah. But right now, who has the level of the wealth? No, I'm not in there right now. I'm not in there right now. You're looking for, I know you're hungry. We open to the public Sunday and Wednesdays. So I'm just preparing stuff. It look good? We try to get some fresh air. So your work down there? I've been here for a while. Like, yes, you know where they move? Wickham. Wickham. You see where hold on everyone, I'm put y'all on mute. You see Wickham where My apologies about that. I sitting in front of the shop, and sometimes people just walk up to me and start talking. So I have to put you guys on. Ministry is all different places. Ministry is in all different places. So what was I gonna say? I got thrown off for a second. That happens to me all the time. Somebody asks me a direction, and then they just start going into biblical stuff. They start going into spirituality all the time. I guess I look like, what I mean. But anywho, where was I? I have Naasha in the spot. Welcome, Naasha. I might have to come back and do this again, or we'll just keep rocking from here because we had a little hiccups along the way. My apologies for that. But Naasha, the mic is yours.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Greetings. How are you?
I'm all right. I'm all right.
Yes, it was an interesting conversation. My only question was, if we have old women, and this is what I find very funny, a community where we have poor old women is not going to grow. If you want to see the community, there is people always say, if you want to see your community how it is flourishing, look at the children and the old people.
Yeah.
So I don't understand how he, as a man,
Mhm.
can promote living even if they were hoes. And this is what I found very funny. Even in what communities, if they have the prostitute, they still find ways to bring them back in the community to somehow support them. But in our community, we bash on our women, and I don't understand why. And then when they get old and widow, uh, how we abuse our women. I don't understand this culture. Like we throw them away like junk. And to
And
be honest,
mhm.
this is also what I found out is that if he as a man goes to another community,
Mhm.
I mean, if black women marry a man outside of the race, if the woman is have an African culture or African American culture, she can still bring it to the children because the women will raise the children.
That's
But when
exactly
a
right.
man does it, it's gone. And even in
It's gone. And that's the part where that's nonsensical to me. Like I said, in historical books, it's there, and it sounds like hate. It sounds like this. There's a practical reason, just what you said. When the woman, she inculcates that child with her culture, so he can say, I want you to do this and that. She's the one who feeds that child from the breast to the teeth to the standing to the walking, and she can infuse her ways into that child. And so when you go into other communities, you are not a community. You're not supported because you are just a singular person. Getting up, if you go to Latin America, you are under Latin American rule. And this is why I like watching 90 Day Fiance. And all the time, my mother's like, "Why you like watching this show?" Because it shows you about culture. Sometimes the outside of America, it shows you about other requirements that other people have that Americans may think, "Oh, it's not that important, right? Oh, what we love each other, that should be enough." No, it's not. It's not for a lot of spaces and a lot of. But again, sometimes when someone is set on something and they don't believe. Of what you're saying has value, it doesn't matter till later on. Like India said, check out Kanye West. He married into another community and he's fighting for his culture to be represented to his children. He's fighting for, because why? The mother is the one who's there most of the time, raising the child, teaching the child, showing the child, and so he's there. Just I don't want my child to do this. I don't want my child to do that. I don't. And if she's gonna overpower you, especially in this space, we see Kobe Bryant did it. Did his resources? Did who raised him? The community, the parents, the culture, right? And then he took all of what they did and invested to him and outsourced it and gave it to someone else, and when it all comes falling down, that is the person and that community who has it. So there's something to me, it's like taking our jobs and putting them off and say, I don't want the stuff that's here. That doesn't make any sense. And at the end, Tiger Woods, we can keep naming and naming and naming. At the end, it's not beneficial, even for the man or the whole. right? But what do we know? That's gonna be my tagline. What do we know?
I think there is the disconnect. I think that because of patriarchy, men, okay, all of us, women and men, disrespect the work of mothers.
I
That's
mean,
why
yeah,
we do not, yes, we do not really understand what it means. If
and
she,
mhm.
yes, a
Go ahead,
friend of
go ahead.
mine told me one thing. We were watching a movie about Sharia law, and he said to me, "Do you know what, Nyasha? If those Arab women, Saudi Arabian women, will make a decision to change the law, they just need one generation and they can change Saudi Arabia. Right? Because women don't understand their power, you know. That's why it's always going to keep on going." But he said to me, and it was so interesting, the women are the one raising the sons. I said, "Oh my God, yes."
Yeah,
I said, "Yeah, yes."
yeah. And I think people are like, at this point, the men are like, well, I don't have any say. You have to be present, and I'm not just talking about economically present. You model for your children their future. So how you relate to the woman, and if you think she's old and she's a thought and this and that, and I'm going to outsource, then that's what you're teaching these children. There's a whole set of children that have mixed nationalities that have whole new problems that you've created for them, whole new issues. There's all over YouTube, all over TikTok, speaking to the issues that now exist because they are neither one or the other. All because somebody's father or mother was like, it's easier over here. I'm just going to go over here because it's easier. It doesn't get easier for the offspring. It doesn't get easier for the offspring. I have this thing up, and I don't know if I could play a little bit of what, to be fair to what he was speaking to, because maybe some people don't know about Freaknik. Now, um, technically I would be part of Generation X, but I was like at the back of it, right? So I have older siblings and older cousins who would have been coming of age in the 80s and doing their things in the 90s. That it wasn't to the 2000s. So this whole Freaknik thing was definitely a thing. And there is a short little doc. Well, it's not that short. I'm gonna see if I could play a little bit of this documentary here. Tell me if you can hear it, Nasha, because you're on the line. I'm going to play it and let me know if you can hear, so we could understand a little bit of the thoughtdom of which he speaks. He's not wholly making it up. There was a level of thoughtdom that happened during this time, but that doesn't say everybody was doing it. Let me see here. Here it is. Let me know if it could be heard. Can it be heard? Did you hear that, Nasha? Where is she? You guys, let me know if you could hear that. Let me do it again. Oh, I don't know where she went. Let me know. Wait, wait, wait.
Oh, I'm here.
Can you can you hear that video?
Yes, I can hear it.
Okay, okay.
At a certain point, you wouldn't even be surprised. You might see the license plate from Washington State. You might see the ethnicity just as it was a picnic for college students when they didn't go home for spring break. You know what I'm saying? So
We are just having trouble today, aren't we? We are having trouble today. Um, it's- today, okay, I have to admit, is a struggle stream today. Merciful Father, what you can't hear, it's a struggle stream today. Because I keep putting it on mute because of the reverb. So anyway, the documentary, I'll just drop the link in the box since it's giving me problems, is going into what Freaknik was. So the lawyer is talking about a type of people who would descend upon, in this case, Atlanta, and they would party, right? And it would be college students and older people in that generation, and they would go and they would do all manner of things. Like I said, I'd never been to Freaknik because I had no desire to go, but I do know people who have been to Freaknik, and the stories that they came back with were crazy, absolutely positively crazy. But we have Queen Nzinga in the spot. So I said that to say that what he's saying about some of the thottish ways of those who were in their 20s is an absolute fact. But for him to put it across the board, to say, to act as if everybody was doing that at that time, and because they didn't want him, then he doesn't want them now, I think that's a stretch. But go ahead, Queen Nzinga, share your thought. John, is the struggle stream over? Like I said, today is a wild one, man. Today is a wild one. People walking up on me, talking. I'm going to talk if they come up on me in person and talk. But, I keep putting it on mute because I don't want the reverb. And then I forget that I'm on mute. So it is what it is. Uh, Go ahead, Queen Nzinga.
I'm so sorry. Is struggle today. Struggle. How are you, beloved?
Oh, man. Today is crazy, man.
Listen,
Today.
that whole Freaknik thing, I never went to any of those things because it was so disgusting. I mean, just the thought of it was disgusting. And what I believe started all of that was the change in rap music, because you have people like Luke and Sir Mix-a-Lot, and Luke was talking about Tootsie Rolls, and Luke would and what's his name? What did I just say? Uh Sir Mix-a-Lot was talking about Tootsie Rolls. I mean, people were acting crazy back then. It was madness. It was pure madness.
That's a fact. He was over there doing Doodle Brown, Don't Stop,
Yeah.
Get It, Pop That Bloop Bloop. You know what I'm saying? All of that
Yeah.
stuff.
Oh yeah.
And so to say that that wasn't happening, I would never say that wasn't happening. That's an absolute fact. That
No, it
was
was a
happening.
fact. Yeah.
But he's
But
talking
see,
about a
these
certain
these are
demographic. Go
the
ahead.
men and women who gave birth to some of the children in this generation.
This is
Okay.
true.
This is somebody's mom's, this is somebody's grandma, like for real. So
So
we wonder where some of this disobedience and this rudeness and nastiness comes from. It's part of this generational curse, and you can see it. It's not that far away. The 90s weren't that far away, you
I'm
know.
trying.
But then why do we have double standard? Like I feel like if the woman was doing this, oh my God, oh my, if a man was doing this, you made mistake. Men need to grow up.
No, the both of them was doing it. They were both doing it.
Everybody was doing it. There was a song a go-go song that was put into one of Spike Lee's films, School Days, and it was called Doing the Butt.
Yeah, I remember that.
And everybody, it was from DC, they call it go-go music, and everybody was doing this dance. I mean, you know.
Yeah, doing the
So,
butt.
and people, and if you were not part of it, you were called a prude.
This
you
is what I'm
called
saying.
you were called
I,
stiff and boring. Guys didn't want to talk to you because you wouldn't give it up.
but at
You
what point did
weren't
you come?
that kind of girl, so they'll go
Is
to the girl who will give it.
And Zinga, what time did you come in? Because maybe you can chime in. I don't know how much you heard. Did you hear when I was playing the lawyer's
No,
perspective?
I just literally
Okay.
walked in. I just came from work. So
Okay. And India says the butt was tame compared to Doodle Brown. That's absolute facts too.
oh yeah, Doodle Brown was the worst. Do the brown. Do the brown.
That was absolute fact.
Pure
So,
nastiness.
so for those who just joined us, since we were struggle streaming, I'm gonna leave the Freaknik conversation, which this is a picture of. The people I used to hear the stories. This is the cameras. The women were like half naked. The men, people's bodily parts. It was straight up debauchery to what I heard. You understand what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, it
But
was but the other part of it was that the flip side of that was that there were a lot of women who were really not down with that, and they were getting raped.
wow. So we're gonna
So
have to look into that Freaknik 90s right now. I,
yeah.
it's a whole situation, but let's hear a little bit back of the original reason I came on here, which was some of the things that Dennis Sperling, which is KS's friend, what he was speaking about and his twist on the whole thing. So let me stop this right here and let me just play it back from the beginning. Hold on. Let me know if you guys can hear it, because as I've been told, I'm struggle streaming today. It will be okay. Hold on. I burned my hand before I came outside, so I got. Mayo, can I have a new ice pack, please? Today has been wild. Let's just say that.
They bringing money
Okay.
home to you.
Pause. So let's listen to him straight, and then you guys let me know your thoughts, and then I'll wind down. Let me get the other ice pack, please, dear. All right, here we go. Here we go. And there we go.
Before the word thought was invented. Welcome back. This is Dennis Sperling, and I want to just tell you guys what I'm not going to do. And as a member of Generation X, what I'm not going to do is sit around and worry about a bunch of women my age who had their chance in the 1990s. I know what you were doing in the 1990s, ladies. You were thoughts before the word thought was invented. You was out there throwing that thing around to everybody that you could, having a great time, getting in the parties free. And now at 40 and 50 years old, you think somebody like me who saw you do what you did is supposed to pick you up? What in the hell are you thinking about? That's my thing. And here's another thing. If I've spent my entire life building myself up to get to the point where I am now in my 40s and going into my 50s, and I'm beginning to garner power and influence, why would I pick up some old woman to bring along with me? An old woman with baggage, an old woman with issues. These are my primary earning years. This is a time where I have an opportunity to flex. This is a time for me to take up leadership in the community and politics and companies and corporations and et cetera. In your 40s and 50s, that's when men begin to maximize their power. They begin to reap the benefit of the seeds that they have planted in their 20s and 30s. It's the money and the power and the influence that comes with age. It makes all those years of sacrifice worth it. By contrast, the average 40, 50-year-old woman serves no purpose other than as a business partner, maybe.
I'm going to stop it right there. Maybe. Let me hear your thoughts on that.
Please stop it right there. Because I'm proudly in my 50s, banging it out, and you're just beginning at 40. I was doing that in my 20s, sir. You're late. You're late, sir. You're just beginning. Yeah, you're a bum. You were out
Oh,
there,
no.
all of those women that you're talking about, you probably your baby's mamas, okay?
But according to wait, hold on. This is according to his what he's saying. He's a lawyer. He is KS's
Where?
Kevin in Houston, Texas, right? He was the one I showed the other day with the double speak when he came on the interview talking
Oh,
about how he
I
met
didn't
Kevin
see
Samuels. Oh,
that.
you didn't see that one? Okay.
No,
Yeah,
no,
so
I
this
didn't
is a
see
little bit of the context. So he has his own perspective on some of the things. So this particular video was thrown up there in April the 30th. This is before Kevin passes, right? I just want to play a little bit more because there's a level of, to me, it sounds like hubris that he's delivering this message with, right? When you feel like you're on top of the world and you've made it to where you're going and that you have the pick of the litter and nothing can stop me now, right? I'm not sure if he would have the same conversation now, But in his estimation, a woman of his age has nothing to offer because all of them, according to him, was starting it out in their 20s, which I think is
Excuse
which
me, sir. Excuse you, sir. No, you
well,
were the bums
oh
that
no,
that
wait.
I was watching dance with all those nasty girls. You didn't want the good girls because they were too boring for you and they're living their life and doing business while you were out there being Mr. Freaknik with 12 kids.
Uh-oh. I see India saying his background is filthy. I'm not sure who. I don't know who this person is. If we can, I don't know who the
I don't
person
know
is.
him,
Yeah, I
but
don't know
that
who he
that
is.
commentary, you know what that to me that's gaslighting younger women, and I absolutely hate when older men use young women as pawns. See, and younger women don't know the difference that they're using them. They think they know, but you have to realize these men got game. They've been out here long time.
So you think he's
And
running game?
when you're young and you don't know anything, it's
Right.
like they're living their lives all over again. The mistakes that they made. Older women, why they won't deal with women in their age bracket is because we know you're bull swanky. And we
Oh,
call you
okay.
out on your bull swanky.
Okay, so John is saying, let me see what John is saying, and then
Shut
we're
up,
gonna.
John. I don't want to hear it.
No, let's behave. Let's behave today. Come on, we have to be respectful. We got to be respectful. Come
No,
on.
I don't want respect.
Now we got to be respectful. We can't be telling each other to shut up. Y'all already know how we do. We got to keep it clean and professional. I know some of these topics could get us a little hyped up, but for the sake of peace, I can't, get down with the get down.
But
So
there's something that I realized is
go
somehow
ahead.
a woman's value lies in her reproduction organs. Like if a woman goes into the 40 and 50, somehow in this society we lose value. And a
Right.
man's value is more on his money, and that is something you can change all the time. But when it comes to women, you cannot change your beauty. It is like women are locked in this frame, and I
Well,
find that very
I don't
abusive.
necessarily agree with that. I don't agree with that because that may have worked in previous years, but there are many women who are more mature who are looking just as good and sometimes even better than some of these younger women. So, I mean, it depends on how you take care of yourself and how you view yourself. Why do I care what anyone thinks of me? The only thing that matters to me is what I think about you. And are you invited into my space? If I didn't invite you, you're not here.
All right, all right. We're gonna play a little more only because I was chopping up today. All right. The link is in the description. We're gonna play a little more. I know it's a bit inflammatory, but we're gonna play a little more and continue to have a
It's
respectful
way
discussion.
inflammatory, way
And
inflammatory.
all right, let's listen a little
If
more.
she's the same age as the man. But the idea that a 40 or 50-year-old man with money and power and years of sacrifice and delayed gratification who is single would then take up some 40 or 50-year-old woman for romantic purposes. Come on, y'all. Are you kidding? Are you kidding me? That makes absolutely no sense. What I'm here to tell you, ladies of my generation, I'm here to tell you this today. Your chances of bagging a man who is making $1 million, $100,000, $250,000 or more, mid six figures, whatever, it's not happening. It's little to none. See, what I'm trying to explain is it's a different set of circumstances if she was with him and helped him build himself up and build his fortune. Because of the loyalty that she showed, she's owed something. Even the law sees that. You are a 40 and 50-year-old man. You've been married to your woman since you was in your 20s or 30s. Now you're rich. You built yourself up. Even the law says she's supposed to have some of that. All right, but a 40 or 50-year-old woman, a 50-year-old man has options, and the last thing he's going to choose is some 40 or 50-year-old woman to be his spouse or his mate. And here's another thing: even in a
Let's hold on to another thing. And there's some generalizations. I said it earlier in my rebuttal, but I can't go back through it all right now. But he's making a lot of gross assumptions for what other men want, which is what they
Well,
do oftentimes.
yeah, they a lot of men do that, and that's because whatever his preference is doesn't mean that that's
Everyone's
50
preference.
billion men in the world's preferences. Like, if you think that's what it is, and if you're going by his standard, then you're a dumb dumb and you're a follower. And if you're a follower, you would never have a woman submit to you.
But to what India said also is that that was one of my points and objections, is that we are seeing a double speak going on here, because on one side the conversation is the woman did not value relationships and marriage earlier on. She pursued education and career, right? That's one of the contentions. Now he's saying that the woman is going to die a cat lady and impoverished because she doesn't have 1.5 million in the bank at retirement. But what happened to all the women who had the PhDs and had their career? It's not making any sense. So I'm not understanding
What?
how the 40 and 50-year-old becomes a geriatric. I'm like, when did the
Yeah,
what's going on here?
that's an old trope to try to control the minds of younger women, because the truth is, you know, when you're single and you're young, you are supposed to be working at building a career, building a life, building up your bank account, building all of those things, so that if you decide that you want to be a married person, and eventually everybody is going to retire or either be dead, because you can be dead at 30.
That's a fact.
You know, to mislead younger people by not giving them the full scope of how
Right,
life works
right.
is very
It's
misleading.
wrong. It's
It's
wrong.
very misleading, and the people that you need to be angry with are these people who are misleading you, and they're not telling you the truth. So in your 20s as a young woman, are you supposed to be a bum? Are you supposed to live at home and not do anything? Those, they don't want those kinds of women. Or maybe some of them do, so that they can get over on them and use them for sex and then throw them away. They want younger women to be throwaways. That kind of talk is for you to be a throwaway, baby girl. And for you as a young man doing that, or an older man, first of all, what are you doing with a young girl? You're not in the same, you should not even be in the same thought bracket, unless, sir, you're part of the Arrested Development group. Now, Arrested Development means you have not developed in your character and in your critical thinking. At a certain age, you stopped growing. That's what Arrested
Well,
Development is.
possibly based on what he's saying is that there was a lot of delayed gratification, and what he's saying. This is a very
Well,
sweeping generalization.
how is
That wait,
possible
hold on, hold on.
if you're
No, wait,
going
hold
to
on.
Freaknik, you're there's no delayed gratification. What are you talking
Wait,
about?
wait. He was like, "You was that Freaknik. I saw you. I saw you. Like, what did
Yeah,
you? How did you? There was no internet during the '90s. How did you see her at Freaknik though? We got questions,
right.
but this is John. What's going on? Yep, I told you. Uh, okay. So there's my contention is that to put everybody in one basket is disingenuous. I think Sarai is saying the same thing. To act as though all the women in the '90s from Generation X was at Freaknik and they was doing da da da. It's not true, right? But the ones that
Yeah.
you wanted, like you're saying, the ones you may have wanted, it's in the same way that you're saying the women wanted the athletes and they wanted the cool guys. Men wanted the quote hot girl or the sexy girl, right? So
Yeah.
it's happened on both sides. So all of you represent the demographic that the other woman who was ignored represents. There was
Yep.
a counterpart to you, it was the girl who was down, who would have made a good wife, but you overlooked her because she wasn't popular and she wasn't cool, and you wanted the girl that all the other dudes wanted. Let's be honest about who you were looking to get with. So
Yep.
again,
And you were and they were not qualified. Is really what
Right.
it boils. And no man's ego is going to say, well, I wasn't qualified to be with her. No, they will turn it around and say she was she was this, she was that. She wanted to get with everybody else. No, she just didn't want you, sir. You were the
So,
guy that didn't take baths. You were the guy who had
yo,
pimples all over your
Nzinga, yo, you
face.
had a wait, hold on, pause. You had a good day at work today. Yo, we gonna put you on timeout, man. What you on? You we put it in Queen Nzinga on timeout today, right now.
No, I'm
Interesting.
being serious.
You over here saying homie didn't bathe? Come on now. Are they baby mamas or independent women? That's a question. Let's get a little bit more
Listen.
of what he has to say. And please be warned, the Blizzard King is a tad bit inflammatory. So, but the points that he's bringing up, some will say he's the truth, and others will say he's skewing the truth. He's a lawyer, so he's trained to paint the picture in the direction that he wants the people them to go and believe.
Absolutely.
So let's keep that in mind.
Polygamous relationship that I don't agree with them. But even then, why would I pick some old women to be in a relationship with? And here's another thing. I don't feel sorry for these women. I don't feel sorry for these 40 or 50-year-old aunties because I know what they were doing in the 90s. I was right there. I saw them. They were going to Freaknik. They was having a good time. This is what they did. The young men that tried to talk to them, right? They were too good. They were too busy. They pushed them away. What they did was they gave their passion and their interest to other men, the men that they chose to be with. Nobody pushed them on it. They made that decision.
But he just told on himself. If you was
Yep, he
there,
sure did.
if you was there, sounding like, I'm sorry, I'm gonna give an old reference. The old lady from the Women's of Brewster Place. Remember, she was like, "I saw ya." If you was there seeing her, right, then that's an old school reference. I'm sorry, that's an old school reference. But if you saw her, right, that means you was lusting after the freaknikian type of girl. I just made that word up.
And you were there, sir.
And you were there. You was just mad
And
that you
what were
wasn't
you
playing.
doing, sir, while you were
Question.
there?
He was watching. He just told on himself.
Uh-huh.
He
So
just told
you
on
were the
himself.
guy that they rejected. So now
But what was you doing at Freaknik? You should have been at the library.
you
You
should
should
have
have
been
been
at the lot. You would
You
have been
should
a
have.
lawyer sooner.
You see, it wouldn't have to be 40. You could have been 30. What was you doing with the
Thank you.
Freaknikians?
Thank
You should
you.
have been at the singles meeting at church. There is where you would have found the young
And,
lady
and
that you was
what
looking
and
for.
what makes a 40 and 50-year-old man who's got one foot on the grave and the other on a banana peel think
What in
that
the
a
world?
young girl wants you?
Well, he
You've got
did
to
find a he found a
you've
young
got to
girl.
listen. Half of them have to take a blue pill at a certain age.
Well, we talked about a little bit about that. Shout out to Goldie. Goldie says she's annoyed by his voice. Let me give you the link, Goldie, if you want to jump on here. The voice is interesting. He got a little bit of Martin Luther King with a little bit of Johnny Cochran in it. You feel me?
Martin Luther
Because he's
King.
so the lawyer isn't here doing his thing. But I say that to say when we listen intently, we can see where people are playing kind of games, right? Sarai says precisely he was out watching the wrong ones instead of in the presence of the correct ones. He should have been at the
Yes.
science club. He should
Yes.
have been in chemistry class. You feel me?
Yes.
He should have been visiting somebody's Mima on the spring break,
Yes.
but instead you was on the side of the Freaknik line wondering when it was going to be your turn. We playing though. Shout out to you, Mr. Lawyer.
Exactly. Who said that? Who said that? Who said that?
Let's stop telling the lies. These women were telling.
Whoever said that was absolutely right,
What's
because
that?
those girls that were in school doing their work, being
Mm-hmm.
about their business, those guys didn't want them. The same way you say they didn't those girls, those freaknik girl types, they didn't want you. You're right, they didn't want you. But the other flip side of that is you didn't want the girls who weren't doing that.
Right.
You didn't
So
want them because they're boring.
we have to be honest. We're gonna play a little bit more and then open the mic up for anybody else who would like to share their thoughts. We'll have to look at the Freaknik situation at another time because that also was a really big issue. I mean, let's keep it honest. Like we said earlier, there's a whole documentary, but I'll tell you what the issue is. I'm on another browser and they want me to log in, then I have to find my password, and that's just too much for me right now. So let's just listen to a little bit more, and then maybe next time we'll come if it is even child appropriate, because the Freaknik stuff was crazy. But let's listen to this.
at that time period. And this is their reward. This is what they're supposed to get. Now, instead of getting long lasting relationships where they can see their children grow up and go to college, where they can see their grandchildren be born, great grandchildren, all they have is old, fading, thought like memories. That's
Yo,
it.
did he say thought like memories? But who told them that they couldn't see their grandchildren and children be born? Who told them that the person who didn't know they was thoughting out? Who told them that thoughts don't get married? I mean, he's making a lot of assumptions. He's making a lot of assumptions.
That's all they have. And unless you ladies have $1.5 million saved up for retirement, what you're looking at is poverty. What you're looking at is homelessness. That's what you have to look forward to. Matter of fact, a lot of these brothers tease you and say you're going to get cat lady. You're going to be cat ladies. You're not going to be able to afford cats because you're not going to be able to afford a house or an apartment.
So his partner KS was telling them you're gonna die alone. He's telling them now before you die, you're gonna be a cat lady in the house, because you don't have $1.5 million. There's many people who don't have $1.5 million. That's not cat people that with no place to live. Like the extremes are just too much for me. These are real scare tactics.
All that's going to happen to you is you're going to be either eating that cat food or those cats.
Oh no.
Now, earlier I spoke about polygamy. To me, when I look at that, that's the golden parachute for these lovely elderly women. And I'm not willing to risk my financial well being to save some old woman who made poor decisions. So the answer for me is going to be no. And I think I speak on behalf of many very successful Black men of Generation X. We are not going to save you. You are going to go off and live whatever the circumstances of your life dictate.
But I
What
thought they said that I thought they were mad because they said they didn't need you. Now, how then the person who said they didn't need you to save? I mean, y'all gotta, you know what? Y'all gotta have a collaborative meeting to iron out the details of the doctrine because I'm confused. Is anybody else confused here? Wait, before you
Well,
do, I
it's
see Aisha. If this is the Aisha, I think. Shout out to you, sis. These men have zero accountability in their part of demise of the Black community. Yeah, there's a disconnect. There's a huge disconnect even in the talking points. Go ahead, Queen Anziga, you got a little something to drink before you come back through. You good? We know you just came from work, but you wild up today.
no, because this is some bull swanky, and I hate what they're doing. I hate what these elder men are doing.
He's not
They're
elder,
el-
sis. Only
they're
the women
elder
are
men,
elder. He's young.
and they're supposed to be teaching younger men how to navigate through this life. Why are you spending your time disrespecting women who by statistics have said are higher earners than the men who are supposed to be their equivalent? And we're talking about in the Black community, not talking about other ethnic groups right now. More Black women are business owners than there are Black men. You had a whole group of men whining and complaining when Lehman Brothers put up billions of dollars in grants for female-owned businesses. So it's not like Black women were sitting around twiddling their thumbs. They became lawyers. They became doctors. They
That's
became
not what
all
I heard.
these things.
That's not what we heard. That's not what we heard. Um,
Well, I can
so
I can only speak for myself. Those are the kinds of women that I surround myself with in
that's
my
what I'm saying.
50s. Like, I
It,
don't know
it's
who he's talking about.
That's what the thing is. As a lawyer, it would be excellent if he specified who he was talking about because it's
Yeah.
not adding up. Interesting comment is a little bit funny. This person said these single women that were dancing to Montel Jordan's "This Is How We Do It" in 1995 didn't age well neither. So they're having a ball over here as if they too were not dancing to "This Is How We Do It." You know, again, it is basically his thought is even though he was there, even though he was with you, he moved on and he moved up and he has options now. And essentially, the woman no longer has the options.
Oh no,
And
that's wrong by all stretches of the imagination. We've got options too. For every woman, any woman right now can go outside and find a man. Like literally,
that's a big claim. That's a big
you
claim, sis.
can,
I don't
yeah.
know. I
Well,
don't
you know why?
know.
You know why? Because you've got these thirsty men out here who are disrespectful. They see themselves as only, the only man that could ever possibly be. And they don't realize that every man is out here looking for a woman. So it's not that hard for a woman to find a man. Now it's hard to find a righteous man,
This
but
is
you can
this is
find
true.
a man. That's not
Yep.
hard to do.
Why is India doing the most today? Y'all, what's today? India said old man plus Red Bull and Viagra equals young man. I'm just gonna go take my walk in the park.
No,
Like
sweetheart, it
just
equals the no.
she's messing around, yo.
I'm gonna reserve what I have
Yeah,
to say about
reserve that,
that.
reserve that. Yeah, who wants a little bit more or have you had enough? Let me see here. There's a lot of confusion. I think there should be a calling, a meeting of the minds to what the people believe, because right now there's just all of these different varying doctrines that don't make sense. They don't make sense. You can't accuse one of not needing a man. And what do you bring to the table? I know you guys have heard that argument. If she says a job, a degree, of money, they say we don't care about that. So apparently, after she finished Freaknik, she went and got a job, degree, and money, because now the 40 and 50-year-olds are in these professional settings. So how now are they going to be cat women who die alone? I'm confused. We got to make it make sense. I hope the background is not that. I'm going to play just a little bit more and then I'm going to wind down, because, I don't want to raise anybody's blood pressure here.
The idea that I would even enter into a polygamous relationship with multiple women, especially elderly women, is a ridiculous notion. Women by design are supposed to be a distraction from your job. They are there to do what? They are there to be your own private vacation in a romantic sense. So what do? They keep you from doing what you're supposed to do. And the last thing that a man who has reached his apex of power needs is a distraction. So
according to him, the woman is a private vacation and a distraction. Did he reclassify her?
Wow.
Did he reclassify her occupation?
I'm sorry, I missed that. I was on the phone. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
you missed that. Let me go ahead and rewind that one for you. Hold on. No worries.
romantic sense. This is your life dictate. The idea that I would even enter into a polygamous relationship with multiple women, especially elderly women, is a ridiculous notion. Women by design are supposed to be a distraction from your job. They are there to do what? They are there to be your own private vacation in a romantic sense.
What?
So what do? They keep you from doing what you're supposed to do. And the last thing that a man who has reached his apex of power needs is a distraction. So multiply that by multiple women, 3 to 4 or 5 women at the time, dealing with health issues that elderly women face, menopause, kidney stone.
He said menopause. Listen, yeah,
What a joke. I have to
it's
laugh at it because it's
did
so
he say
ridiculous.
menopause? But he's making a case against polygyny. It's in his. I mean, this is just gets interesting. Everybody has their little
I mean,
tangent.
let's talk about what old men experience, shall we?
No.
Can we go there for a
No,
moment?
we want to talk about menopause and all of the other things that she's
What a
experiencing.
loser. He is
And
such a loser. He is
and
such a loser.
can we keep it clean? Because if he comes over here and he wants to engage in a discussion, we'll be open to a conversation.
He's a loser, and I tell him he's a loser to his face.
Oh, merciful Father. Listen, we try to keep it clean and professional over here. Y'all listen. Queen Nzinga is she's on some stuff today. Aisha says women are supposed to be a helpmate, not a distraction. These men don't even know what women are for. Correct. That's my point. That's my
Exactly. You don't
contention.
you but that tells you his history in relationships. You
Right.
know, you're telling on yourself, sir, and it tells me that you're not that great of a lawyer either, because you're not explaining your case well. But
Oh, dang. Now you're gonna
you
make me have
know,
to look up the man's law. I don't know, sir. I didn't look at your track record.
I
I'm just
mean,
looking at the way he's making the argument.
just these generalizations
Right. Sweeping
are
generalization.
open-ended generalizations
Right.
with no real facts behind them.
Correct.
It's mostly feelings he's talking about. These are not
Conjecture.
facts.
Conjecture. Yeah.
And the fact that he's speaking the way that he's speaking is coming from a place of brokenness. You have grown men who should be community building,
Right.
at this stage of the game. Elon Musk has already done what he did. you know he surpassed you. You're not even in his class. You wouldn't even be in the same restaurant together.
Dude just bought Twitter, man. And he
You
just came
understand
through
what I'm
and bought
saying?
Twitter.
You
He was
know,
like, "Yo,
and
how much is Twitter?"
we've got a community arguing about Kevin Samuel's death when I just watched Putin have a victory speech in his country. Where are our priorities?
Well, that's also another story for another day. I think
This is not my priority. I'm
right. I think
sorry.
the priorities of many, like I've said this before, for what the community feels they can control, right? Putin has a language, a culture, and a country. So-called black people in diaspora do not have the things that would make them feel as though they need to protect any specific land mass. They're not.
Well, why
This is not the.
and why
And
is
this is
that?
part of the problem.
And why is that? Who is
Because
supposed to do? Are the women supposed to do that?
I mean, you can't. To me, if we're gonna go down this rabbit hole, you can't. What are you guys doing? You can't have a country, a sovereign country within a country. That's number one. So the condition of the people here in the West does not allow for one to govern in the true sense of the word themselves. And so because there's still a little bit of playing in masses house going on, you see the conversation shifted to what we the people deem important. You understand what I'm saying? Because
Oh yeah.
if Putin puff up his chest and say, who out here own an army? Who own a navy? Who own anything that you say you can go and run up, you know what I'm saying, and really play with the big boys? They don't. So you
Okay.
have to
They
argue
can't.
over. You can't.
And you're arguing instead of building communities. First of
Right.
all, these types of men are out for themselves. They didn't build communities. They first of all, they can't build anything. They have no handy skills whatsoever, because the community would look completely different if men got together and started building homes and parks and things like that, instead of worrying about how much bottom they can get from a woman. Like,
Right.
is that your only goal in life, sir? Is
We
that
do
what you
see.
consider to be successful? Then
I
that's
would.
very
I would.
sad.
I would say honestly though, right? Being a person who deals with let's do it instead of talk about it. There are a number of people and groups who are actually doing it that get no coverage because that's not exciting. You know what I'm saying? The people, this is where the people who are doing are not really out on YouTube unless they're showing you homesteading or building or whatever the case may be. They're doing things, but when it comes to support for those people, it's minimal. And so
Yeah.
you say, "Oh, I'm going to do this thing for the community," but the community doesn't support, right? The
Well, but
community actually sabotages the
and
efforts. I
those
don't.
types of men they refer to, who are building the community, they refer to them as simps.
This is why I say that this is, but also what's happening to make sure to ensure in the future that there's no progression are these type of conversations. And this is where I find that there's value in pointing these conversations out, because for those who would come along in the next generation and do what needs to be done, they're being dissuaded now through uh these doctrines to not do these things. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's like when you look
Oh
at a
yeah.
country and you say, what happened to Jamaica? What happened to the Caribbean when they opened up immigration to the West? Brain drain. What happened to the continent? What happened to Nigeria? Brain drain. What happens is all of the bright future people who can build, they are attracted away from the place, and what's left is a certain percentage of people. So even with Jamaica, people say, what happened to Jamaica? I say all the time to my, listen, you people went to America, you went to Canada, you went to England. What do you mean what happened? And you left the people who did not have agency to do what needed to be done, because those who could live did. It wasn't cheap to leave. You understand what I'm
Right.
saying? So it's the
Yeah.
same thing that's happening here. In what you have is people who are on campaigns convincing men not to stay, not to build, not to repair, but to go out there and find that promised land. Find your version of America or Canada or England. Go to South America, go here, go there.
Well,
So they're
and they're
draining the
looking
resources out of the community.
well, they're looking for something that's easy and already built
Correct. But
to take residence in. You know, you have a woman, a strange woman that does not know this man,
correct.
as the only person
It's the
left to identify him, and she doesn't even know to tell EMS which floor and apartment
what
she's
apartment.
in.
But
Like,
that's
how
the setup.
stupid is that?
That's the short-sightedness of this conversation. I saw some YouTubers, they made a whole big name for themselves. It was a guy from Kenya and a woman from an Asian country. I don't want to misname it. And they became big on YouTube because they had Blasian children and they mixed and all of this stuff. Later on, they became divorced, and they're citing some of the reasons. It's going to be, this person didn't want to learn my culture. This person, you see what I'm saying? Ultimately, the thing that attracted you to the person is the thing that caused you to separate, because somewhere along the line, even though you may love this person is part of a bigger culture. And the things that you
Mm-hmm.
accumulate together, especially oftentimes in this time, if it's woman, if something happens to that man, it gets reabsorbed into her culture.
Yes.
So I don't know what you think you're doing.
Yeah. Well,
You see what I'm saying?
you're donating to a whole other culture
That's all
that
you're
has.
doing. Just start a non-for-profit then, because that's
Yeah,
exactly where it's
absolutely.
gonna
Yeah,
go.
non for profit.
When
Yeah,
you look at a
absolutely.
lot, when you look at a lot of the men that went to Vietnam, right?
Hmm.
There's a whole segment of mixed melanated children and Vietnamese over there because they were just
Yeah.
dropping seeds, right or
Yeah.
wrong. But what do they
Yeah.
look like? They absorb what? Vietnamese culture.
Yeah.
So even though you
Absolutely.
deposited over there, you, what do you have to gain? What do you go back and get? What have you built?
Yeah.
So it's short-sighted at best. It is
Yeah.
it's for some people it's an easier way, but it ends up causing more issues and troubles. And this is why you see a lot of ancient cultures or different cultures, they're very circumspect about who and what you're marrying into.
Well,
But
they understand legacy, and
yeah,
unfortunately in our culture we don't revere legacy the way that other cultures do. You know, because so much of our focus, or of some people's focus, is you know, the sexual aspect of who we
that's it.
are. And that's, you know, that does not prove legacy.
No.
You know, I just saw an article that Jeff Bezos's wife put up $25 billion to Planned Parenthood for Black women. This was what
Mm-mm-mm.
the article said, and it was geared to Black women. Well, you know, what came to my mind was, why is this being directed to Black women?
Yep.
What, you know, why is it that this group of people, and from what I understand, isn't Jeff Bezos Cuban? Is he Cuban?
I'm not sure. I have to double check on
He's
that
the
one.
Amazon guy, right?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, Bezos is the
Is
Amazon guy.
He's the Amazon guy. Okay. So, you know, why is that article directed towards Black women? Because the birth rate, obviously our birth rate is extremely high, and has the potential to be that. But so if you kill a generation of people right now by donating to them having abortions, Well, you've aborted an entire nation of people. So we don't have the time
Well,
to
that has
build
happened
up.
already. I mean, in the last 40 years, if you
Well,
look at how
yeah,
many, that
definitely,
has already
definitely.
happened.
And that's
Yeah.
because we don't revere legacy. We don't respect our bodies, which is going back to Freaknik. The whole idea about Freaknik was that you're disrespecting your body, you're disrespecting your person. And no one ever told you that it's not cool to disrespect your body.
Well, no, wait. Well, to what you said, and then I'm gonna wind down because I gotta take my evening walk, everybody. But to what to that point, even if you were taught not to disrespect your body, like you're saying, there's a demographic of the male population whose attention you're looking for, whose adoration you're looking towards, whose approval you're looking for, convinced you that if you do not debase yourself, then you have no value to me. Right. So we can't overlook the point that
Yeah. No, that's true.
you may have trained up your young daughter, say cross your legs, put a nickel between your knees so that X, Y, and Z. And here comes somebody, such and such is putting out this, that, don't be a square. So then they convinced you. And then after they enticed you and debased you, then they turned around and cursed you and said you were not worthy of anything. This is a sick, twisted game out here. Right? If you look at a lot of these young girls who had older boyfriends who are convincing them of whatever it is that he was convincing them, they oftentimes they were lured into the decisions and choices that they made.
Yeah. Well, it's easier to run game on someone who doesn't know
Who
game. They're
doesn't know?
naive. They're naive. They've never experienced these things, so it's
Correct.
easier to get someone who's younger that you
Correct.
can do that with. And once you've utilized their youth
They no
and their
longer have any value.
naivety, then you
Right.
go on to the next one, because
Correct.
now they know the game. You don't need them anymore.
Right.
You've used them to however degree you wanted to use them. So now
Hence
you
the
go
R.
to someone who else is younger.
Hence the R. Kelly effect. We actually saw this
Yeah.
in the portions where they're talking about where he would hang out at the McDonald's, talking to these young giddy schoolgirls who don't know any better. Who you know what I'm saying? And then once
Yeah.
you pervert them, then you turn around and curse them. There's something really weird and strange with this whole behavior. But we have True Diamond in the spot, so for the sake of time, True Diamond, come up to the mic and share your thoughts.
Yeah. Hey, how y'all doing? Now, I'm coming in here late, so I'm picking up maybe the last little 15 to 10 minutes that you're saying, but I
No
wanted
problem.
to make a point of the abortion issue.
Mm-hmm.
That I was listening to a little manosphere page. Look, I like to get their perspective because some of them you got to know their mind. But when Trump had elected that white woman, that justice that we had, I guess a couple of years ago, and they were talking about overturning Roe versus Wade. I told my daughter, and I said, Roe versus Wade is not about women taking away rights and men. It's about numbers. You got to remember
Yes.
at that time, Trump, and I don't really know the names of these groups, but I think there's one of them is called Nationalist. Do y'all know about them? The Nationalist. You ever heard of those people?
Well, there are several
White
nationalists.
nationalists. Yeah, okay. So it's the white nationalists. When Trump was in office, that that group really raised up, and they have some core beliefs, which is, let me just be honest, it's white only, white dominated only. If you remember in history class, you learned about the Aryans. Now, when Hitler came into office, they said that they were Aryan. Aryan just means white, but Aryans go all the way back from when India was invaded. You know, India used to be very, basically almost black looking people. They ran those people down south and they brought in the caste system. You have to just, I got these kids here, so we be studying these books. But I was telling my daughter, I said, this Roe versus Wade is not about numbers. It's not about women. I mean, it's not about women. It's not about men. They know that those numbers, because Queen Azinga had mentioned about how the lady, Jeff Bezos' wife, was given all this money. So I'm going to tie in this point that the manosphere made. This one guy said that it's not about the man. It's not about women. It's about those numbers. He said, they said, even when they overturned this, Some states will still allow it. And those states that are blue, I guess that's Democratic, they are going to get more funding, more money. Queen Azinga, you just said it. And that man said, he said that, or I guess other people were saying, no matter who is in office, they are all working together to reach their goal. Now, if you know anything about the caste system or peasantry, the serf system, you know that they have to have people at the bottom. It's just what it is. Too many people are finding a way. I have an accountant friend and she laughs. She said some people have learned how to survive without working. We have been, and she's been saying this for several years. Like people have learned the government follow the trends and they see, oh, okay, oh wow, the less children you have, the more upward momentum that you have. Now let me tie that into what's going on with black men and black women. I have been watching this Kevin Samuels situation, but from a different angle than what he said. I've been watching it from the angle of who he was to these men. I've been in lots of what is these podcasts and stuff. You know, I'm like, God, can I take anymore? But it's important to sit here and listen. And there's a theme I keep hearing. Of course, you all know he was the Godfather. So I see the way they feel about this man. Let me tell you all, don't think that they really don't have their heart and feelings involved. They really saw him as the Godfather. They really admired him and adored him. Now, they also have acknowledged that they know he may have been a bisexual or homosexual male. Okay? They know that. They also know and acknowledge that yes, he did pick on black women to make money. So the essence of why they lifted him up, it was because they saw him as a foot in the door to set up their own platforms to make money, because that's how, I hate to say it, how broke the collective of black men are. Not that they don't have any jobs. Now I want to make one more point. You know, they said that Kevin Samuels was worth 4 million. That's what they're saying, even though they're also saying they don't know where the money is. No funeral or not even a memorial service has been scheduled or anything. There is a girl called Bad Baby. Does any one of you ladies know who that girl is? The Cash Me Outside girl. She was on Dr.
I don't
Phil.
know who that is. Sorry.
No.
She was on. She was on Dr. Phil. You can. She was a young girl, and Dr. Phil had her on
Oh,
her
I think
show.
I heard about her.
Yeah, the
Yeah, I heard
Cash Me
about her.
Outside. She was like, yeah, cash me outside, cash me
She's a white
outside. You know,
girl.
it was a white girl. She was talking all that trash. Well, anyway, the girl had got famous. The girl had
Okay.
got famous, and
Hmm.
she on her 18th birthday, she opened up a what is those pages they open up? They sell their body. What's that page called?
Oh
Insta,
my
not
goodness.
Instagram.
Oh man.
What's the,
You could tell we don't know what's going on. What's the name?
I know,
What's the name of it? It's on the tip
not
of my tongue.
Instagram.
It's not Instagram. It's
Uh,
something
what
something.
is it called?
It's
Come on, man.
Only
OnlyFans.
OnlyFans. There you go.
Lord,
Y'all sound
Lord,
old
listen.
like OnlyFans. Yeah, that's it.
Okay,
Name
anyway,
that tune.
she opened she opened
Mm.
up a OnlyFans and made a Twitter record. I'm making a comparison between Bad Baby and Kevin Samuels. She made an OnlyFans page and made a Twitter record where she made approximately $1 million in 6 hours. A Twitter record. That same year, which was I think 2020, yeah, 2020, I believe, she made $52 million on OnlyFans. That's not including her record sales. And she just recently bought a home, $6 million cash. The reason why I'm bringing up this girl is because black men see $4 million, which after taxes and everything else that you interest payments on things you got, you might be glad to take home $200,000 or $300,000 a year, maybe, if you play your cards right. That their understanding of money, if you go listen to any of those podcasts, they believed in him. I even saw a post where someone wrote, that basically everybody was jealous of him because he had 1.4 million followers, and they compared this man to a mega church leader, Joel TD Jakes and Creflo Dollar. And he said, yeah, if he wouldn't have been taken out in his prime, he would have been up there with Joel Osteen. So it's about advancement. It's about the black man getting in a position. But what I found is they don't want to put in the work for it, meaning building strong. Y'all were talking about building communities. This is what I see: the building of the strong communities, the not making single baby mothers, not putting women in rotation. See, they're not willing to to let that go. And in this same podcast I was listening to, one guy called them out. He said, okay, you all talking about building up families and stuff, but then you go on somebody podcast, and then that not podcast, some dating coach page, and he'll say, oh, but I got all these women in rotation. If you have women in rotation, somebody's going to get pregnant. And even without Roe versus Wade, even if it was still enacted, somebody's going to get pregnant and somebody's going to end up a single baby mother. So it's like you want to stay in your ways, and the only person, excuse me, for the only people that they want to change to get black people, quote unquote, because it's really not black people. Y'all, black women, I'm sorry to say, it's not about black women. I hope you all got that through your thick skull. If you think that it's about uplifting you, no, you are the footstool that they need to stand on. I also was on another what was it? Another lady shared it. There was this guy talking, upset about the death and all this and that. He was ranting about y'all women, you got these kids and you're getting these degrees, but I really don't mind that. But you just, y'all need to, why didn't y'all get married? The right age to get married and get in a relationship with men is between 15 and 25 years old. And the girl
Wow.
stopped it, and she said, this is the part I wanted you all to hear, that this is the target. Think about it clearly, ladies. The target is you older women, and they always call, I hope you don't mind, BITCHs. I ain't gonna say it. They call
Right.
black women BITCHs on these podcasts. You're not a woman. You're a it, honey. You're a thing, like a thing from them old movies in black and white. That's what you are. But they need you as the footstool. And let me tell you that one of those last podcasts that Kevin Samuels had, when he was trying to convince that lady to basically let a strange man look at your daughter any kind of way and then say she's a liar. And it came to me, this is the target. This is the target. The target is your daughters. The target is your daughters, and you being the financial stability to get them where they want to get, because they're not going to marry. They're not going to marry,
Okay,
and as long as they don't have that I do, that basically means they operate as a single man. Because one of you all mentioned about, no, Imuna, you did. I know foreigners, so I knew exactly what you was talking about how the reason why these other places where blacks dwell are not built up is because they leave. I see
right,
it all the time. I
right,
see their demeanor when they come over here. And I'm like, so you are just about self. And if y'all
right.
think that Africans are not about slavery, uh,
Yeah,
all
yeah, I might want
I
to
can say
revisit
is,
that.
honey,
So,
wake up. I
so
have seen how they treat family members. I have seen how they talk to them. I have seen how they give them a few crumbs from the table and expect them to bow and beg. I have seen, instead of saying, okay, let's say like Uncle Sam. Uncle Sam, sometimes they might have a starter back in the day, maybe not really now, but they have starter communities and starter loans, and you might can
right,
get some help, because it's hard to get help now, even if you need a welfare check, honey, they don't want to give you nothing. So back then they had these starter this and starter that and help with that. The reason why the black man has a problem with black women getting any service, not even a bag of rice, he got a problem with that, is because it will put you in a better position than he could ever get you or give you or want to see you at ever in your entire life, as long as you breathe. And again, this is collectively, not all. We know that.
Yeah.
So
I was
going
about to
back
get
to
in there. I was about to go in there because it just in the same way it leans on the other side. This is the demographic that we're hearing from. Let's say the set of people who are making these videos who subscribe to this thought process.
yes,
Not all, but many of them are leaning towards
many.
what you're saying.
It's many, and again, giving people the benefit of the doubt. Then I'll go to some brothers that are kind of a little bit more liberal. That they're fighting the power. They are trying to do it. But one thing I notice is they're silent on issues. They're silent on rape. They're silent on molestation. They're silent on murder.
Exactly.
Why is it that we as Black women didn't know the most prolific murderer, a killer, serial killer in America was a Black man?
That's a
Why
good
didn't we
question.
know that until A&E aired it when the man finally got caught a few years ago and he died in prison? Why didn't we know that this was that it was a Black man that was a mass murderer on the loose, killing Black women? Y'all look it up. Something Sam Little or something. He dead now, but he killed more women in America than Ted Bundy and all them other ones combined. And he did it, and he said he enjoyed every minute of it. Why come we didn't know that? Because we are worth the sacrifice. And I'm going to end with this. My daughter,
Absolutely.
my daughter, um, she's 17, and she's a girl, but she went through that phase that quickly diminished of what she maybe thought Black love was, or relationships, liking boys. And I had to kind of give her a little wake up call, like, boo boo, you got to wake up, honey, because it's not what you think it is. It is not what it is presented to be. And then she started opening up her eyes and started to see, oh, this dream that I have, this thing that was sold to me, it's not for me. If I
Wow.
even want it, I have to work. My daughter's 17. If I even want it, I have to reject all of these notions, all of these mammies. Listen, I told my daughter is very thin. She's one of them people can't gain a pound anyway. But because she doesn't fit in what they want her to look like, I had to paint out so many pictures of the position that they would put her in the mammy position, or the one to get the train ran on you position, or the one to pay a man's bills position, or something like that.
Wow.
We have to get to that point. And then let me tell you, it hurt my heart. I had to be honest with my daughter that, hey, what you think it is and what they can even tell you is not what it is. And I had another thought, that us women in the Black community, we always screaming about marriage and marriage. We need to quit forcing men who are not ready. A lot of these men are not ready. That's why Dr. Boyce Watkins, whom I respect, got married later. He was not ready. But once he got ready, he's older, but he has a
Yeah, he's older.
beautiful relationship with his wife. But Dr. Boyce Watkins has always been respectable to me. But I had a thought about him. What would it benefit him to get married in our community? So I was talking to my daughter, and she was like, well, yeah, the women is. I said, I'm not talking about the women. I'm talking about what community can him, an educated man, bring his family into. If he's not in a financial position, just because you're a professor doesn't mean you make a lot of money. If most of us know that, not saying you're struggling, but it's not like you can move to Beverly Hills. But anyway, I said, what is the
Breaking up
benefit
a little
of a
bit.
man? Oh, I said, what is the benefit of a man like him bringing a family and wanting to get married?
Breaking up on the phone.
Uh-oh,
The
hold on,
computer is breaking.
hold on, hold on. Can you hear me? Let me move in another
Yeah, I
position.
can hear you now.
Okay. I said, what is the benefit? And I thought about it. In other communities, they have things set up. They already have those parks, like Amuna, like you were saying. They have
Right.
those communities. This is a man. We have a lot of young, older and younger men who are fighting for it. And Dr. Boyce Watkins just said, going on with this Kevin Samuels situation, that us as Black people, we're fighting for our existence. I work with a lot of for a lot of white people, and when I tell you, they don't want to see our face. And again, I know some good ones. We always say I know some good ones, but they don't. If they could cause that divide, they could. And another short little story, my husband was at work and he said some black guys was walking through their backyard. You know, maybe some guys, you know, depending on where you live, people just walk through your backyard. He said the guy said, I was gonna shoot him,
Oh wow.
but but it wouldn't have gotten rid of them or something like that. Meaning
That's crazy.
if I shoot them too, the rest of them still gonna be here. So to think that we are not all in it together, we are and we aren't. But us as black women, we are worth the sacrifice. And oh, that's what I meant to say about my daughter, that I actually had a premonition from the Lord dealing with, sadly, her father. A lot of times these fathers, they help bring the children into the world. But if something happened to that daughter, black femicide, like black femicide, those daughters are worth the sacrifice. That's why they have so much to say about Kevin Samuels, because he was the godlike figure, but the daughters and the children and the mothers and the grandmothers being taken out every day, they are the sacrifice. You are the mean, just like in war, there's a means to an end. Sometimes it's going to take 1 million deaths. If it take 1 million deaths of a black woman, then let it be done in order for us black men to be lifted up to the place that we need to be. And that ties into what Queen Azinga said about that their motives are selfish. It does not include the black woman. Let me tell you, I don't know how many families I have seen where if there's another woman that's of a different race, she don't have to be brought into the war. She don't have to be protesting. Oh no, she get to sit at home and rest in her femininity and, you know, take care of her kids. And the man will even say, "Nah, baby, I don't want you even to get involved in that." But the black woman, you better open up your pocket. It's about that money. But if you go and
You
actually
better
look at,
cash. No, let me do the Umar. Umar
okay, go
say
ahead.
cash app. Cash app. I
He
need you.
said gifts, gifts. Y'all remember
Cash App with
gifts.
his shirt off and
Put the
middies
shirt off.
and middies.
But
Yo.
black women are worth and that is where I just want the ladies to understand
Oh
that is
mercy.
where the men's frustration is coming from. You won't follow the plan. Older black woman, you're making 100,000 a year. You going on vacation and you doing all this and you doing all that,
You're
and you
supposed to
won't
bring
take
the
the
money to
hell of
me. You're
yes,
supposed to.
you yes. Do y'all know that they this guy named Pastor Dowell there on
Oh,
YouTube?
oh, please wait. Pause,
Oh,
sis. Pause. We about to go down the rabbit hole on that one.
no,
Look.
no, 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 no. I'm not talking about Pastor Dow. I'm just tying it into the
Okay.
money. Yeah, I'm not
Yeah.
talking about Pastor Dow. He has another brother that's with him, but one of the members of their church is a doctor, this woman. And they had a little live stream about family or whatever, and the woman straight up said they believe in polygamy. And she said, if the women cannot understand that you are here to serve the man. She said she became a doctor to serve her husband and give him all her money. And that's the role of the women. And a lot of the men, because like I said, I be on these videos and podcasts
Right.
that, you know, I think because I work for myself, I'm self-employed, so I
But
have a lot of
here's the
time
thing.
by
But
myself.
here's the thing. I have one question. Is when you say we should stop pushing. Okay, I don't know Dr. Boyce Watkins, but I have a problem if we give men more time. He married at 50, also a very light-skinned woman. I don't want
Mhm.
to say he did something, so I don't want, but I say, okay, here's the thing, but they still want to have sex. No man is going to stay celibate until 50.
Well,
So
Dr. Boyce Watkins
which,
have said he was not celibate, but you got to
absolutely.
remember we have different types of men, just like we have different types of women in our community. If you really, because I've been following him for years, he's the type of man, he might have not have been ready for marriage with you, but he wasn't going to disrespect you and call you all out and do what Kevin Samuels and stuff was doing. You
Like,
see what
I
I'm
don't
saying?
know. There are some other
If you
women who
actually
did
read him.
make some complaints, but but I don't talk about him. What I'm meaning is, if we say men should marry at 50, which woman, which woman are we going to use for them until they're ready to marriage? So I do believe forcing men to marry, we force women to marry so early and they are raised the
Yeah,
children. If they mess up, we blame women. I believe women should marry later and men should marry early. I know it's a little bit different, Because I don't like
But the
this
culture
issue
doesn't
of
promote that. The because we have men with pedophilic minds. So if they have a
that.
pedophilic mind, it doesn't matter. Even if a woman is 40 and she look 20, which that can 25, which can easily happen. To them, it doesn't matter. And that's why I say I've been in some of these podcasts where they are literally pointing to that they are pedophiles. I mean, they don't say that they are, but for a man to say, why didn't you get married, or why weren't you in a relationship at 15, years old, and they're hinting to what they actually want, which is, and you got to go back to, and Umuna, you said that building a nation within a nation, it's not going to happen. So the fact that they want to build a nation within this American nation, and we all know how this nation was started and fought for and died for, and how we were even free as slaves, to build a nation within a nation lets you know that it is a failed experiment. It is the black. First of all, I have a saying. I say the black community is a failed experiment, and that is why
Uh-oh.
now it's a failed experiment. I mean, it is what it is
We'll come
because
back and talk about that one. I think
yeah,
I don't mean to cut you. I think we'll come back.
yeah,
Let me see. We are at the 2 o'clock. I mean 2 o'clock.
two
I mean,
hours.
oh damn, 2 hour mark.
Okay.
Yo,
Oh, but
today
how much time? But how much time are we going to give men to grow up? 60, 70, then you marry?
But this is the thing, they don't have to. Why do think about it? Why do men have to grow up? I heard, and again, this is in the manosphere streets. I heard these men said. One man said in other cultures, and I would say even in America, we talk a lot about mammyism. Why do men have to grow up when we have even women helping them promote their agenda? Like a man like Dr. Boyce Watkins, which I respect, but I understand what you're saying. He married a light-skinned woman. He married when he was older. She's very established and beautiful and educated and all that. He seems very happy, but he didn't have to, because he had women readily available to give him what he needed, which was the thing at the top of the
Exactly.
list
He had a
other than
baby
the
mama.
sex.
He had a baby mama that he already used up. Okay, I don't know his issue, but so we
yeah,
don't
I
we
don't
don't
know.
just talk
Wait,
about
hold on.
what.
We going all the way
So
into the personals. I don't even know
absolutely.
all of this. Yeah, I don't know
Yeah,
all of
He
the
has he
specifics.
has one child out of marriage.
I know he
So
has
yes,
a
yeah,
daughter. I know he
yes,
only has like one daughter. That's what I do know.
yeah, he has.
But the
Yeah,
other
he has
thing
one.
I don't know. But what I would say is that as we have this discussion, that as they like to say, black people are not a monolith. People are not a monolith. People have
Right.
different desires. I think the era comes in is when we try to group everybody. All men want this. All women want
Hmm.
this. That's
Hmm.
not true. You feel me? And
Hmm.
when you try to speak for what other people need and desire in a healthy relationship, then people try to
Hmm.
go by that specification. And even if and when they do get married, they don't necessarily get married because they want to be married. They want to be married because that's not what they wanted or needed, right? And this happens across. But for the sake of time, what time is it? 7 o'clock. For the sake of time, I'm gonna wind this one down. But I definitely want to thank everybody who tuned in. There's so much here said, touched on Freaknik, touched on abortion lightly, touched on many things that we didn't even get to delve into. But for this, like I said, for the sake of time, it's something that to consider, that if we spend time, and I think there's value in conversation and debating, but then there's also value in knowing what you as a person need and want, right, in a healthy relationship. Because sometimes we can get caught up, like some of the people in the manosphere and in other places, get caught up in the theoretics, right, and not spend as much time into what you need and want in a relationship, if even you need and want a relationship. Because some people argue and don't even want one, so then it's a mute point. It's like I heard this guy and he's going in, and I'm like, wait, bruh, do you even want a relationship? Do you even want a family? Do you even want children? Because people who want it and people who are in it sometimes speak a little differently. And I'm not trying to say that to be, I'm just saying because through
I
experience comes
agree.
through wisdom. People who want it and who they speak differently, but people who
Hmm.
just don't, like, it's whatever to them. You can tell what's at the core of their heart based on the advice that maybe come out. You know what I mean? So I would say to keep in mind as we're listening to different thought processes and different ideologies. Some of the stuff I just be listening to because I don't have a dog in that fight. You understand
Right.
what I'm saying? I don't have a dog in that fight. I watch my children. I pay attention. I don't got no problem. You know what I'm saying? I'm
what
not
I
out here.
yeah,
No, I say that to say I don't mind these discussions because I think they have value, but the greatest value is in how we apply things in our lives so that we can get to our desired end. If you can understand what I'm saying. Like
Yeah.
a lot of people
When I
didn't talk
mm,
about what's her name. Hold on, sis. What's her name? Lisa Nichols. She married in the latter part of her life. The one who did the I don't know if you're in the motivational speaking world, you know who I'm talking
This,
about.
but
Um,
this to me, we have to look at all of this is really supposed to be entertainment, because
oh,
Mm-hmm.
maybe that's where I'm wrong.
Definitely.
the truth is, for all of this talk, this
This is entertainment.
nasty, wait, this disrespectful talk does not fly in the real world.
That's what I'm saying. I don't look at this for entertainment. I
You
watch
know,
90 Day Fiance for entertainment, and educational purposes. If I want to be entertained, I
well,
turn on,
but for
you know,
a lot of these men, it's entertaining
nah, that's
to
bad news.
them.
That's bad news.
It is bad news, and for a
That's
lot
bad
of
news.
men it's entertaining to be disrespectful to women.
Nah. Re-
But in because in the real world you cannot do that kind of thing without
repercussions.
having repercussion. There's always going to be repercussion. So in the
Yeah,
real world, where we actually live,
in the real world.
that lawyer who was speaking, if he was actually in a room full of women who were in the same age bracket as he would never say any of those things.
Well, I think that's what the internet has done. They call it keyboard banging. It has emboldened people to say things, to disregard that there are other people on the other side of the screen and say things that they wouldn't or shouldn't really say. You know what I'm saying? And so it's a sad reality, but there are repercussions for. That's why I say I always try to keep it respectful, even if we disagree, because it's crazy out in these streets. You know what I mean? We can say what we need to say without taking it to levels that violate other people. That's what I
yes,
said, and that's what I see a lot going on, and it's unnecessary. It really
yes.
is.
What I,
You feel me?
I was trying to explain was
Mhm.
black women experience molestation before the age of 18.
Mm-hmm.
And then to tell men to wait until they're 40 and 50 to get married and they're running around to tell men, our men have a trauma of not being able to control themselves. That we know. That's why I have an issue telling men to wait. As long as they're waiting, as long as they are using a woman, they are mostly. But okay, if men would marry the woman who they're using, then I will be having no problem with it. The problem is mostly they do not, and that's my issue. Black women are the most raped, molested, go to sex trafficking. So we should
Mm-hmm.
not be using women as standby for men. That's why I do believe, like in other cultures, at 25 men are married. Men are married.
Yeah,
Can
but
Actually,
I wait one second? I s-
those men were not stripped of their culture. They don't continue, even if they were stripped of their culture, they don't continue in a slave mindset. Unfortunately, our culture is very different, and no one addresses the life expectancy of Black males in America in Western culture. No one
exactly.
addresses that,
Mm,
and the why they marry so late. Number one is because they're not marriage material. That attorney was telling on his group of men. He was telling on them, you're not ready to do anything until you're 40. But in other cultures, 40 these men are already retired. You all are just getting into your prime. How?
what? Oh,
in
wait,
my
wait.
culture, you
Knowing
are
that
married.
we're not even expecting to see you live until 70.
But wait, can I say something? Pause, and then really for real, I'm gonna have to think that. John, I'm gonna ask you respectfully, not to like I asked everyone on the panel to be respectful. I'm gonna ask you to be respectful. in the comment section. I don't know why I got to be doing this, but please be respectful in the comment section. The problem is people calling people out their name is unnecessary. I don't want to do no extracurricular stuff. You know what I mean? So please control yourself. Secondly, I would say, and then we can come back and have similar discussions. But I would say in closing is that some of the questions that are asked have to be looked at in the context of the social economic status of melanated men, right? It's not caping, it's just a reality. So when you look at some other cultures, there's an infrastructure there, there's an inheritance oftentimes there, there's wisdom that's passed on so that they're not starting from scratch. So if the melanated man here, with the inheritance that they have of the oppression of the slavery, and this is not an excuse, this is just reality, and they have to start from scratch, then it stands to reason they're going to be behind people of their other males of other cultures, because
So
they're
which
not
woman should
starting
we
at,
sacrifice?
no, wait,
So
wait,
which
wait a
woman
minute.
should we sacrifice
No, I'm
for
not
him
talking
to
about
experience?
I'm not talking about the women yet. I'm talking about why there's a possibility that you're not put together by 40, right? I went up the street the other day. There's a man that's buying up all of the properties around here. I said I gotta go see who this is, right? I went to the Chamber of Commerce, and I was talking to one of the ladies, and she was like, "Yo, he's gonna be at a meeting on Friday. You should come through in the morning." I said, "Boom!" I had to pull some strings. Da 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 da. I goes to this meeting, right? I see all of these people that's in this room. Okay, this is the part that we're disconnected from and missing. I see all of these people that's in this room, lawyer, this, that, business people, just a sprinkling of black people, a literal black pepper sprinkling. Okay, they give an award to a little boy who's graduating high school, whose father is a lawyer and mother is a doctor, and all of these things. And this person is the mentor, and he has all of these things in his toolbox to get him started in life. Okay, we go on to the man who's buying up everything. He comes to the stage, he tells the story about his father having a business and him working in it. And then he has the opportunity to learn about real estate. This means from the time he's 16, 17, 18 years old, he has a head start. Let's not forget that people can have head starts why they will manifest quicker than the other person who has to get it out the mud. It's not making an excuse, it's a reality. It is an
Well,
absolute reality.
I agree with you on that
But hold
because
on,
that's
Queen,
what legacy is about.
that's what, and that we don't have that because
Yeah.
oftentimes that is not valued. So if we're going to be honest, I'm always all about a balanced conversation, right? So yeah, I was, going in earlier because it was kind of crazy, but
So
to
are
be
we
honest,
going? So which woman are we going to use? Those
we're
women
not
in
up to
those
that
homes?
part. We're not up to that part, that Nanasha. The part we're not up to the which women are we going to lose. I'm addressing the
Yes.
comment, but wait, I'm addressing the comment. Why by this age has he not gotten where he needed to be? And my point is, if you start from scratch every generation, it's going to take you longer. If you have to make the bricks versus the person who has the bricks delivered on site, and that person has the plans, and you have to just make it, it's gonna take you longer. That's just a
What?
reality.
Yeah,
It's,
and to your point, and I'm gonna end my commentary here. You know, to your point, Lady Amina, is the fact that other groups have legacy. They have legacy because their fathers are present, their uncles are present, and those businesses that their fathers and uncles have are passed down to their sons or their daughters, but mostly to their sons, because most men want to see their sons carry on their legacy and their family name. But in our communities, we don't have those father figures. Not to say that we don't ever have them, because there are men who are out there who do have legacies, but the numbers of those men are not in the same value point, because there are numerous fatherless homes where their businesses would be carried on by their sons. They're not present.
they're not, and it lends to a bigger issue. I agree with you, they're not present, and the bigger issue is that them not being present, not having access to economic growth, not having access to community in the way that other demographics do is another reason that contributes to why the male is not present. The male is built different than the female, right? He's built different. That's like to say his pride is in his provision in many cases. So if he cannot provide, oftentimes he disappears. It doesn't make it right, wrong, or indifferent. It's just how that way in which we have seen historically how he moves. If he cannot, he takes pride, if he's not a selfish, self-absorbed individual, if he takes pride in his ability to provide for himself and those that he's responsible for, and he cannot do so, either he's going to use that indifference and anger to attack those who he's responsible for, or he's going to abandon them. This is what we have historically seen. So his economic status is directly related to the way in which he interfaces with the woman and children, historically and even to present day.
I
So
agree with you.
so we
This
have to put
is
we just got to, all I'm saying is it can easily, the scale in either direction could easily be tipped if we start flicking stuff off the table and pretending that all of this is happening in a vacuum, and it's just because the person is unambitious or lazy, or it's a lot of factors that go into what we're experiencing in present day, right? What the male is experiencing, what the female is experiencing, what she had to survive. A lot of
well,
men are upset about that, but she needed to go
yes,
make sure that she and her children lived. That's part of
yes,
her DNA.
yeah.
Survival. What are you talking about? Why are you mad? She like, oh, she look how the children came out. She had to do it. What did you want her to do? Lay down and die?
But then where are you to pick up the pieces? Because
No, you don't want to
even
pick up the pieces.
even if you weren't the father of these children, as a responsible man, the Bible says, when men grow up, when they become men, they give up childish things. And children are selfish to a large degree because, when you look at little children, they always say me, mine, 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 until they become adults and they realize you have to share things. But I say all of that to say, at some point, there is accountability and responsibility that comes in. If you now see that things are falling apart and it's not just you have to pick up the pieces. You can't continue to blame these women who have children who are fatherless. Where does the community come together
There
and
ain't
help?
none. There ain't none.
Well,
I'm
yeah,
sorry to
well, that's the
say.
point.
There
And
isn't. There
and
isn't
so
any.
if you're not interested in your community and you're only interested in getting sex from women, I mean, because that's really what we have to
No,
deal with.
sister, taking a vacation, taking a personal
Well, yeah,
vacation.
taking on vacation,
No, a
you
personal
know,
vacation.
if that's all that you see the community to be, then yes, we as a culture are left in the dust. And you can't, at this point, I've seen other cultures of men live in ghettos. Yeah, they'll live in a ghetto, but guess what? They build stores, they'll build bumper shacks on sidewalks,
But there's
and
also,
have businesses.
but
So where do we draw the line in the sand about accountability for not only yourself but an entire community? And there
but
are men who are fantastic at building our community. There are several of them who are genius at it. But what do they refer to those men? They ignore those men, or they call them simps. The shame game is what I call it. Shaming those men for doing what's right in the community.
this is also true. So basically, these are bad apples. You understand? The wheat amongst the tares. All I can say is to continue to do that which we know to do, which is right. Because the reality is, everyone is not going to make it. You feel me? Everybody, people. I got to the point for me where people are doing their portion, whatever their portion is. The wicked will be wicked still, and the righteous will be righteous still. You understand? There's a time when the balance shifts, and the majority of the people fall into sin and iniquity. That's kind of where we are right now. But amongst those
That's
people,
exactly where we
that's
are
where we
right
are right
now.
now. But it says one from a family, two from a city. So therefore, amongst those people are going to be the people who are wholehearted, who are pure, whose desire is good, who may fall 7 times and rise eight. And it's those people who we need to speak to, those voices that need to be heard. And that's what we need to lift up, because what we're lifting up right now is the debauchery. And there's a sometimes where the people say, lift up your voice like a trumpet and show the people their iniquity. But if we're only just showing their iniquity and not showing that, no, everybody is not off. There
Right.
are some people who are doing their job.
Yeah,
There are some
there are
mothers who are
plenty of people
present.
who are doing their
There are
job.
fathers who are present. I just
Hmm.
talked to my homeboy from school today. He said, I'm talking to him on the phone. He was like, yeah, I just picked up my children from school. You
But
understand what
see,
I'm saying?
and those types of men need to gather together in the same way that these type of debaucherous men get together.
Well, sometimes,
The good
yeah, that's
men
true
need to
too.
get together and have an example, a serious force, and their own version of a Kevin Samuels doing the right thing, proclaiming the right thing. Because
They're
what?
on YouTube. They got an elder
Oh
guy
yeah,
who's
they
yeah,
are
they're
on
there. They're
YouTube.
here. They're
Yeah,
here.
they're
But
definitely here.
yeah, they're here.
But what do those men who uh who do have those channels, the other men that come to those channels are so disrespectful to them. And once again, the shame game. Oh, you a simp. What is a simp? What do you mean, simpleton? What is that supposed to mean? And then you wonder why other groups of you, other races think about you. They don't care about you. They want you dead out in the streets, which is why they're allowed to do it.
But I guess I'll close with this.
It's
Proverbs,
not right. It's not
Proverbs,
right.
Proverbs 9. It's not right. You know, the prophets, they often looked on and said the same thing you saying, Queen. What in the world? You know what I mean? They
Yeah.
was like, why is this going on? So that tells us that it's human nature. It's a cyclical, because that's how life goes. It's the cycle of life. But Proverbs 9 says this. This is what we're experiencing on YouTube, social media, wherever. That there's two people who build their house, right? Wisdom sets a table, folly sets a table. You cannot have wisdom without folly. That's not Proverbs
That's
9.
right.
What? So wisdom set the table, folly set the table.
Mm-hmm.
Both of them mix their wine, both of them fatten their calves, both of them call to the people to come. Now, whoever's table you go sit down there, you're going to eat the fruits and bear the fruits thereof. I mean, because at the end of the day, everybody has choice. So if somebody
Yes.
wants to go sit down and listen to somebody leading you astray, then you get what the dog get. I'm sorry, that's an old time saying. You
Mm-hmm.
get what the dog get. You know what I'm saying? If you want to
Mm-hmm.
listen to righteousness, then you do that. If you want to listen to folly, then you do that.
Mm-hmm.
And all we can continue to do is do that which we know is right to do. Because for us to go and take away our next man right to say what they're saying is in the same way them have the opportunity to take away our rights from saying what we're saying. And that's what many of people are trying to do. You have the right to talk, but another person doesn't. You know what I mean?
Well,
So
I would be cautious if someone told me I'm going to hell and I'm taking you with me.
yeah, that right there is a warning sign, fam. That's red flags all day.
I mean, you don't need to say anything else
They're
to
like, yo, what
me.
you just said?
You don't need to say anything else to me.
Yo, what
That
did you just say? Um, as it relates to what Nasha's saying, we'll definitely have to come back. I know Nasha sometimes is focused on what of this, and so don't think I ignoring what you're saying. I just wanted to kind of bring the conversation around fully to a degree where we're not just, oh, it's the men because of X, Y, and Z. Both parties, if one is out of order, ultimately both is gonna get out of order. If you lean it too hard on your left side, it's gonna jack up your right side. It is what it is. And then you're gonna need an alignment. You know what I'm saying? But that's just what it is. One thing is affects the whole, and that's what we're experiencing right now. He's out of order. Oftentimes she's out of order. The family's out of order, and everything is off. You know what I mean?
Yes,
well,
So,
thank you for that.
there's a channel that I watch and it's called Little Black Book, and
oh
the
yeah, I
other
know that guy. I know
y-
him. I watched that one.
yeah, he just recently did one last night talking about the family. And I really, some of his points I had to agree with. about most of us being out of control.
Oh
And
yeah.
from a biblical perspective, most of our culture acknowledges some form of spirituality, some form of it. But we're not, you'll see many people who are not operating in that space because they want to live a certain kind of lifestyle. They don't want
Restraint.
are the righteous things, because the righteous things seem like it's too much work. It's not gratifying. They want instant gratification, you know, and it's too much work. It's corny. It's boring. It's, you mean to tell me I can't have sex? You know, there's the respectability is gone. The
And that
morality is gone.
that lends to the culture, right? Once the culture, even if they came and said they were Christians, there was still a level of quote unquote morality that was pushed on the surface. But once the culture, the TV, society deviated from that, that was the headlong descent into the abyss that we now find ourselves. There was one guy in the 60s, a broadcaster. If I could find back that thing, he was doing a broadcast in the 1960s, and um he was hitting out against Playboy magazines, pornographic material being uh, made available. And he said it. He said,
Hmm.
"Listen, this is about to be the ruination of this society."
Yes, it is. And he was right.
And he was absolutely. I said, "Where is that video again?" And if anybody sees that
Hmm.
video, it was a 1960s or 50s broadcast, and I saw it in passing, and I said he was absolutely correct, because what it did was the things that people were not so proud to say they were doing. Now you can be right in the open, and no
Yeah.
one is going to quote unquote judge you. So when you remove judgment, where people say, "Oh, nobody can judge me. Nobody can help." Once you remove the accountability and judgment, here we are. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? This is where we have arrived. So welcome. You feel me?
Hmm.
With that said, Nasha, you have anything to say before we wind down? We'll see.
Oh no, I just want to thank you, both of you sisters, for having this conversation. And yes, my I do understand what you mean. We need, of course, both sides need to be balanced conversation. It's just that I'm tired of
Minor.
us
Minor.
using black women as stepping stone until the black man is also happens in my culture until the man is ready, he's 60. Now he can run around and boss people around. Now he's the chief. But he
He
was a
can't.
playboy until he's
Right.
50, and now he can be a boss. And the woman married at 18, 20, and starts working. And that is my problem. That's
Right.
why I was pushing back on saying, oh, men should marry later. And then to say, okay, how much time are we giving them?
Well, yeah,
European
I
men,
and I agree with you, because it's like you're half dead, sir.
Oh wow.
You're ha-
I thought y'all were
you're
winding
half
down past.
dead. All of
Black
your
Night
all
is.
of your youth has been spent on you doing stupid things.
Oh
And
my
now
goodness.
now
And
that you're
it.
almost dying, now you want to be responsible. Now you want to be husband. Now you want to be father. Now
I'm
you want to have legacy. I get it.
it's a difficult thing. Again, it's not cut and dry. This is a problem from time memorial. It's not just now. You understand what I'm saying? We even seen it in Coming to America. I'm just messing with y'all. When they sent Hakeem off to go sow his royal oats, it's a thought process that if the person is not settled within their mind, they're going to trouble their own household. Essentially, if he's not ready to stand up on his foot and take responsibility, because taking responsibility is not a small deed. It's not a small matter
Muna,
what we're at.
are you
Yes,
going
yes.
to give your daughter to use? Can we use your daughter until men are ready to be fathers? Or we use
No, no,
homeless
because
women
that's
or
not that's not
prostitutes?
that's not my. I don't subscribe to the thought process that people should just do what they're doing. I'm saying why they're doing it. I don't subscribe to men should just be out here doing all kind of stuff all willy-nilly, right?
Until they're 60?
Huh? So no, that's what I'm saying. I don't subscribe to that. I'm saying that this is what people have subscribed to, and this is where. So when you say to be used, some people will say, "Not my daughter," because that's not what I'm raising them up to be and become. You understand what I'm saying? But there are some who We have to remember there's some families in certain places who feel as though this is their daughter's come up, and they will auction off their daughter to do whatever, because why? They no longer have to take the responsibility for the child. You feel me? So even sometimes we could be like, well, how can you do that? There's some parents with whole body be like, yeah, they take them off my hands, because they don't want to do what needs to be done to make sure that the child is self-sufficient. So I would say for me, no, but that's also not my mentality that the man should just be out here doing what he needs to do. That energy and time that he looking for front in his youth, he could be using it to establish himself. He needs to harness that energy into producing and establishing himself and learning how to be a husband man and learning how to be a man, so that when it comes time for him to have a family, he'll be ready. That's my thought. He needs to learn
And
transmutation.
there wouldn't be community invasions like there once were that caused slavery.
What I'm sorry. Are y'all misbehaving in the comment section though? I'm done. I'm done today, yo. What go on in that comment section?
I can't see the comment section, and
I could
honestly,
see
I
I'm
really don't care because
what I have to moderate here, Queen Zinga. Hold on. I did not ask already for people to behave themselves. Whatever we'll do. You know what? Magana.
and the same people, the same ones who are misbehaving, never come up to the speaker.
Oh
So,
boy.
you know,
Yo,
to me,
listen.
yeah,
Listen,
be
what I
still.
for those who come to this channel from the beginning, right? Because I realize that people find me along the way. One of my core principles is respect. Without respect, we cannot build anything. This is why certain people in the certain spaces have been so divisive, because they operate on the principle of disrespect. So if we cannot model that, even I tell my children every day, I'm not anybody's parent here, but if even you see it in young ones, if you disrespect or disregard somebody's humanity, never mind age, sex, gender, if you disregard somebody's being, their humanity, it's gonna cause a problem. So our words have creative power, and even though we may feel away or whatever the case may be, we just have to keep that in mind, because guess what? One day I went on what's the guy? That's before he had all Poor Man podcast. This was last year sometime. Okay. This is when I realized that what you're saying, I think True Diamond was saying, it's the commodification of the woman. The game is not about real growth and unity and healing. So he was making, I forgot what the topic was, and I brought attention to the contribution of the male during certain times to exploit the female. He spun what I said, put a crazy title on it, and did all of these things. And I just simply went over there and I was like, yo, this is off. What are you doing? I said, community is built on trust. And if somebody can't trust you with, like, I didn't just mix up what the guy was saying today, I was addressing what he was saying. You understand? But what happens oftentimes is we don't respect one another, and we think it's we can talk about building, but we don't have the fundamental building blocks to build, which is respect.
Well,
That goes both ways. You feel
and I
me?
think at some point when the bully keeps beating up
Right.
the skinny kid at some point is going to get bigger and bigger and one day fight the bully back. And
Madness.
then when he fights the bully back, the bully is surprised and maybe even take on the space of being victimized at that point.
Like, oh, them a beat me up.
You know what I mean? So if you continue to beat someone up, they're
Oh,
not
Father
going to
help me.
take that after a while.
I
They're
think
not
I
going to
missed my
take it
walk today.
anymore.
I don't think I
So
could
when
talk
you
two times
when you
this late.
continue to beat people up, don't expect that they're not going to fight back at some point.
But I
Just
hear
like
you.
just like black people are waking up right now and they're asking for reparations, we have to put it in the same context, the male and female principle.
I agree.
You
And
know,
this is part of the reason why there is a problem. There is a lot. They say women need love and men need respect. Both parties need respect. Both parties need love.
yes,
It's
both
not
need respect.
both need
Both
respect.
need respect and love.
Exactly. They say, "Oh, men don't care if you love them. They just need you to respect them." And then you think that you
Well,
can you can love somebody and not respect them.
you know,
I'm gonna If I love you, I'm gonna respect you.
yeah.
So there's a confusion about how we deal with one another and what's acceptable. And we think that we could just throw around words any in any kind of way, and it's gonna make for a kumbaya moment. It's not. It's gonna build in different resentment and division. So with that said, I want to thank everybody. We didn't even. What are y'all doing? They doing the most, y'all.
Okay.
They had a whole
Goodbye,
fun
Mr.
field day out here. Yeah, thank everybody for tuning in. I didn't even get to see everything that's in the comment section, but for the most part, everybody, come on now. We'll be back again. What's tomorrow? Friday? I'm not sure, but we'll be back again to have more discussions like this. If you liked it, thank you for tuning in. I didn't even play no commercials. Just not doing what I'm supposed to do. Let me. Okay, this is a new head wrap. I gotta get better at this.
Jamaica woman. I'm a strong, strong, strong Jamaica woman.
All right,
Beautiful,
thank you.
beautiful,
I know I haven't cammed up in a while, but I am a real person. I will play that again. So
beautiful.
basically, Casa, we are doing custom head wraps that are reversible. You could click the link on Etsy, and check us out. And we also have Yummy Cash. I'll do it again because I like that song.
Jamaica woman. I'm a strong, strong, strong Jamaica woman.
I agree. I agree, Sarai. Thank everybody for tuning in. Tomorrow is probably going to be me getting ready. So you're done already. This was a long one. Hopefully it'll tide us over for those who missed it. Drop your comments in below, and we'll come back again probably Sunday or Monday, one of these days, and have more discussions like this. With that said, everybody have a blessed day and be well, yo. Take care of yourself, take care of your loved ones, and live good.